pitched a topic for today and made me think of something that I've picked up on a lot recently. And maybe it's a good thing. Maybe we're finding our true selves. It is Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
My gut instinct is they're going to be good, but it almost feels like it's all or nothing this year. Bryce Harper's still going to be good this year.
90 games should be your floor when you have this much talent, this much pitching. This is a vibe of box ticking.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Tuesday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man John Kincade. Johnny, good morning.
You're back on, you feel like you're totally back on Philly time now?
Yeah, I never left it.
It never left you even when you were in Florida?
No, I was waking up before everybody down in Florida, too. I'm just too used to this. Sleeping in for us is 6 o'clock.
It's awesome. Like 7 o'clock to me just feels like heaven.
Well, I feel groggy at 7 o'clock. That means I slept in 3 hours. That's too much. But no, I feel good. I'm a weirdo. I like waking up at 4 o'clock.
I'm going to co-sign that. You are. But it's good.
Absolutely. So I want you to first take the floor with this Alec Bohm discussion that you want to have. And then I'm going to turn this into something much more deeper when it comes to the Philadelphia sports fan, and something that I've been picking up recently, John, and it started with our journey to New Orleans.
Okay.
Before the Eagles won Super Bowl 50.
Oh, I like that. That's fascinating. I'll give you this really in summary, because Haley saw the run sheet, and she saw the first thing, and she goes, "No, I'm not doing this." And it was funny because it was, I want to just make the case for this. And I'm not talking about any kind of contrived, fake support. Alec Bohm had a bad moment last postseason. Well, he had bad moments in the regular season, but he had a bad moment in last postseason. After being an all-star and almost winning the home run derby, he collapsed mentally. And his manager had to bench him.
Yeah.
And no players on the team stood up in his defense to have his back when he got benched. I'm not blaming them, by the way, for that. That's not a shot I'm taking. It just goes to show you they agreed with the manager doing it. I'm going to tell you this going into this season. We know that Alec Bohm was shopped all over baseball, no matter what the Phillies try to convince you of. My point is this. He's ours. You're not winning a thing if he doesn't make a major contribution. And in my opinion, Alec Bohm deserves and has earned more of our should-be, would-be support than Trey Turner ever had a drop of when the whole city decided, let's get behind him. Alec Bohm has earned it more as a Philadelphia Philly. And he's one of our own. And he's homegrown. And as you go into this season, I just see the rampant negativity on social media. And yesterday, in preparation for the topic, I just went through on the word search of Alec Bohm and was just watching. It's unbelievably negative. That does us no good.
Well, I think it's negative because people are realizing that they literally ran back the entire team, and he was one of what people thought would be a movable piece. And because he wasn't moved, maybe he's going to be the poster child of we ran it back with this guy, and maybe that's why people are already building certain expectations. But I find it interesting, right? He has had that moment of support. The moment when he says, "I bleep and hate it here," and the next day he pinch hits and he gets a standing ovation from the Phillies fans, he's kind of already had that moment, Johnny.
He did.
You gonna do another one?
And in that moment, no, I don't want him to have a standing ovation. I'm not into any of that. And apologies to some of our good friends in the industry who were a part of that. People we both like and very much respect. I am not into anything contrived like that. I'm just talking about Philly's ability to ride somebody. And we can ride an athlete right into the ground.
Yes, we can.
Or we can support an athlete.
And we've seen that too.
And I'm not talking about, again, contrived support. I'm not talking about cheering for him if he starts out the season 1-18 and being like, yeah,
right.
Nothing contrived. But when I want him to feel that this is still his town and that people are still behind him, because I'm just doing it, and I'm sure Connor will have his math and you'll have yours. This team's going nowhere. if he doesn't he has to make a big contribution to this lineup. He has to be a difference maker in this lineup. Without it, this team is going nowhere. When he was rolling last year,
yeah, I mean when he was on pace for 100-plus RBI.
When the Phillies were rolling last year, I got to get the number. They were 30-some games over 500. When Alec Bohm went bad, the whole lineup went bad from that point on. Whether it's coincidence or not, it happened. I just want to see, as we start a year, can we have some sort of a grace period of riding a guy who I know people are going to be out to ride?
I mean, look, we're going into a season with playoff expectations. Yesterday, we did an entire show on how this feels like this could be the last ride with this team. So
sure.
I do think people are going to be tense, especially if they come out the gate slow, and then they might point to somebody that they're upset with, and it comes back to the running it back conversation. But I get what you're saying. I mean, a lot of these guys deserve it, but that's not how it works around here, Johnny. Like, Nick Castellanos deserves support. Nick Castellanos has been one of your more consistent players over the last 2 seasons. Last year, he was your best player from start to finish, and people I'd drive him to the airport.
He was the best player in the Mets series. And I didn't realize it yesterday.
Best player all year, John. All year.
Till watching the 5-minute little vignettes that they've got of the playoff games.
Yeah.
Because I've really tried to forget that series.
Right, I got you.
But Nick Castellanos with 7 hits in that series.
Yes.
And 3 of them really clutch hits.
Yeah.
Like really, really big hits. And nobody else outdid him.
He was the 2024 Phillies MVP, and yet
he was fantastic.
It goes back to something you always say: we like who we like, we don't like who we don't like. And now Bohm is a guy who we like who we like.
Correct.
However, could that change be happening? So
they were 61-32, by the way, and then Bohm started going bad.
Yeah.
And the Phillies were 34-35.
Damn home run derby, people.
Whether it is.
So Johnny's pitching that we show support to Alec Bohm right out the gate.
Grace.
Grace.
A grace period of just you cheer for him as you would cheer for any other, as you're cheering for Turner, as you're cheering for Harper. Because if you were able to contrive support for a guy like Trey Turner, who signed a $300 million contract and was doing jack, and by the way, was a butcher in the field, well, Alec Bohm has done nothing but get better in the field and worked at his craft. At least he's shown you improvement and shown you that he somehow benefited from your support.
All right, speaking of the Turner.
And that's not usually me.
Speaking of the Trey Turner thing.
Yes.
I have a story from Jason Werth and Larry Bow when I was down in Clearwater that I will get to later on this hour. But I have a theory, John.
Okay.
And I do wonder if part of your feelings about this Alec Bohm discussion plays off of this.
All right, I got to hear this.
You know this saying, the biggest baloney that you and I agree is baloney, the no one likes us, we don't care.
It's the greatest lie ever told, but it's worked for Jason Kelce. It is the greatest lie ever told. This city cares about everything that people say about us.
The second somebody says something bad about us, we're ready to fight.
Correct.
Right? And look, I do it. I play it on the air. We react to it,
yeah.
right? Like, I can't help myself. I don't want to just, turn the other cheek. Like, if somebody says smack about Philadelphia, I want to fight back. But when somebody says something positive about Philadelphia, that person becomes a legend, a hero right away. Like, I remember Kyle Brandt when the Eagles won Super Bowl 52. He was
he did the whole little
Go Eagles
soliloquy and everything.
And Kyle Brandt became everybody's favorite media member. And then, of course, everybody hated him this past year because he picked the Chiefs.
Yes.
But there are people in this city, and I think it's the majority of people, and we can expand on this coming up next, John. It's not no one likes us, we don't care. It's we want to be loved.
Okay, I did not expect you to be going here. I did not know where you were going with this. That's interesting.
And it started in New Orleans because what was something that you, I, and anybody we talked to when we were down there said? Everybody down here is pulling for the Eagles, and we loved it.
We did.
We loved it.
We did love it.
The non-Eagles or Chiefs fans that were just on Bourbon Street down in New Orleans
were rooting Go Birds, and they even learned Go Birds. Yes.
And we loved it, John.
We did.
I have found the new theory of the Philadelphia sports fan. It's not no one likes us, we don't care. It's love me, please. We'll expand on this. Also,
Doesn't really roll off the tongue as quickly.
Not as well. Speaking of Alec Bohm, we may have gotten our answer on the opening day lineup yesterday.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Yeah, Connor's going to take some victory lap. I don't
Victory
know
tour,
why.
baby.
For
it's
what?
Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Tyrone Johnson.
coming up here in a minute because we may have seen it just yesterday. And according to reports, that's probably what it is. But I want your guys' reaction to my theory on the psyche of the Philadelphia sports fan. The no one likes us, we don't care is baloney, and we've been saying that, Johnny. I mean, you've been saying it, and I've ever since we started doing the show over a year ago.
I said it the day he said it.
Yeah.
On social media. I'm like, okay, that's completely false.
Yeah, because we care respond to everything.
I think we care too much.
Yes.
And by the way, guilty is charged.
Yeah.
So I'm not painting somebody else as like saying, you're the problem. No. I'm right there with you.
But
right there with you.
Look, we're a major market city, right? We don't get the same attention as New York, as Boston, as Los Angeles. We don't get that same attention, right? What does the attention-starved child want most? They want love from mom and dad.
Yep.
They want love from their peers. It then causes effects down the road in your adulthood with relationships.
It does.
It's true, all right? There are things that happen in your younger years that then stem down the road. It's like me with eating issues.
My parents had 2 kids before I was born, before I came along. So each of them had already paired off and picked a favorite.
Right.
And I came along and was like, okay.
And that's why he begs for me to hug him every single morning when I walk in. What's your thought on the theory that it's not no one likes us, we don't care, it's somebody love me, please? Because I think that's what it is.
Well, you know what's funny is I didn't want to, when you first started saying it, in my head I'm going, BS now. Wait a minute, whoa. You're going too far. And then you turned it on me, and you did say, I know how many times I said to you in while we were in New Orleans, walking the streets, going to dinner, doing whatever it was, when someone came up and was like, I'm rooting for you guys, how much I was like, oh, good, glad to have you aboard.
You liked having more people on board.
I absolutely loved it.
And so when I was in Clearwater, I was with my aunt and uncle. And they live in a community, the 55-plus community down in North Fort Myers, right? And it's like a melting pot of people. There's there's Canadians, there's Midwesterns, they're all over the place.
All over.
And so he watched the Super Bowl, my uncle, in like the club.
In the clubhouse.
And he was like one of like 3 Eagles fans out of like 100 people that were in it. Anytime the Eagles made a play, they cheered. And he loved it.
Okay,
he loved that everyone there was rooting for the Eagles.
That's wild.
And not at the Chiefs.
Okay, that's wild. I wouldn't have necessarily expected that.
Connor?
Yes.
Am I on to something here?
I think so, but I think it's more recent.
Okay.
I do think it's this, because remember, right? Let's go back 20 years. And I know we're today's talk show, but 20 years ago, we didn't really have stuff to be loved for by the general sports public. I mean, we're in a really great era of Philadelphia sports.
But even 20 years ago, we would get upset with the people still bringing up snowballs at Sam.
No, I got you. But at that time, you didn't have a Super Bowl, right? You never summited the mountain as that fan base, as a Philadelphia Eagles fan. So this may be more recent now that we've earned the respect, that we have come to the point where we can expect to be loved, expect to be rooted for, expect to be respected.
Expect to be, like you're saying, sort of like a national brand where people are like attaching themselves to the Eagles.
Like the Eagles were that because of Philadelphia. Now the Eagles are that because of the Eagles.
Yeah.
Like if the Eagles were the Tennessee Titans right now and they had this resume, they would be talked about nationally because of their accomplishments, not because of the market. And that's where we're at. We can stand on our accomplishments of this football team now, which should lead to more respect, and we don't get it as much as we do. And that's why I think we're like, how can you not acknowledge how great this team is? How can you not show love to the fan base that supports this team?
I think in the Houston series, if I'm not mistaken, in the Houston series in the World Series, I think America was rooting for the Phillies.
Yeah, because
Houston was the villains.
Yeah.
Houston was they're the cheaters. I don't think it was necessarily because of us.
Right. No, I think it's more so screw the Astros.
I don't think any fan base roots for Bryce Harper.
I don't think so
except his
either.
own.
Yeah,
I think he's one of those guys that everybody else looks at across the country and goes, Harry Hard on.
Would love to have on their team.
Love to have him on our team, but he's they don't like
I don't know. I think people have come around on him. I think Nationals Bryce Harper, everybody hated that guy because he was the punk kid. Not saying that's exactly what he was, but that's how he was viewed.
Exactly.
I think Phillies Bryce Harper
kind of how he was.
Has had more people. I'm trying to be nice to the guy.
He was a punk when he was with the Nationals.
But I think Phillies Bryce Harper, if you're not in the division or you're not a competitive National League team, I think there's a lot of love for Bryce Harper in baseball.
Okay. All right. Listen, so here we'll continue this discussion.
This is interesting angle on. I'm a little taken aback
because you realized I'm right.
I wanted to disagree, and then I'm like, well, that was me in New Orleans. For every waitress, every bartender, the cigar guy.
Yes,
remember the cigar guy?
Cigar guy. That's right.
I'm doing a little fist bump with the cigar guy.
We're doing the deep dive into the psyche of the Philadelphia sports fan today. Admit it to us at 610-632-0975. Do you want to be loved? Do you, as a Philadelphia sports fan, want to be loved? Would love to hear from you about the psyche of us, and it all stems from the Alec Bohm thing, something that nobody would have said 20 years ago, right? Nobody would have said
No.
that. But because of what we saw with Trey Turner, and that's your teaser for the story I have coming up next from Jason Werth. Also, the Phillies opening day lineup. We'll give that to you coming up next. Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The opening day roster is taking shape. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phil's opening day roster is starting to come together as we are just 2 days away from the start of the regular season. Cody Clemens will round out the position players as announced by the team yesterday, even with little change to the roster. Corey Seidman of NBC Sports Philadelphia joined the best show ever yesterday to confirm the players know the stakes of this season.
Everybody realizes this is the last dance with this team. So I can understand why fans might feel that there hasn't been enough change, but I would just still point out this is one of the best 3 or 5 rosters in all of baseball.
It's absolutely a big year down at the ballpark here in Philadelphia. We'll get that rolling on Thursday. The Sixers fell to the Pelicans 112-99 last night. They are off tonight. The Flyers take on the Maple Leafs tonight at 7 p.m. You can hear that game live here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Jeff McLane of the Inquirer will join us coming up at 8:25. Amy Fadul will join us for the entire 9 o'clock hour. This update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Your local Staples store has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. Save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic, and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Vacation? Business trip? Don't worry. You can
6:26 here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic on this Championship Tuesday morning. All right, so yesterday, it looks like we got our opening day lineup. Matt Gelb tweeted out the lineup and then said in parentheses, and what the Phillies will use on opening day. Your lineup, this happened right after the show came to an end, 10:01. Leading off and playing shortstop, Johnny.
Kyle Schwarber.
Trey Turner. Batting second, your wish. Bryce Harper. Batting third, your third baseman, a man that John wants to have full support, Alec Bohm.
No fake support.
Yes,
No
real
fake
support.
standing ovations, nothing like that.
We need to hold his hand already.
Right.
Batting cleanup. Finally, baseball is back. The power hitter bats fourth. Wow, what a novel concept.
Wait a minute. There has to be some analytics kid that's like his head's exploding.
Kyle Schwarber.
This isn't the way it's supposed to be.
Cleanup. JT Realmuto, fifth behind the dish. I would like to switch him with Castellanos, but we'll get there. Kepler, sixth in left field. Castellanos, seventh in right. Bryson Stott and Brandon Marsh, who they have said will be your everyday starting center fielder, even against left-handed pitching. Now, the only thing that I don't like about this lineup is the Realmuto Castellanos deal. I don't know why we're putting Realmuto in the 5 spot and relying on him to do more than what he's really capable of doing at this point of his career.
I'm not. My faith in Realmuto is far less.
Well, I think if he bats seventh, I think that's better for him. But maybe they go, this works for Castellanos. Remember that at some points last year, Castellanos was batting eighth.
Sure.
And he had a good season last year. So maybe that's what the thought is. But it's amazing. Yesterday, they play the game against the Rays using this lineup. And it's amazing how you don't have to score one run in the first inning by having a leadoff home run from Kyle Schwarber. Because remember, oh man, he starts the game off with leadoff home runs. It's great.
Because that changes the dynamic of a whole game.
Here's how
No,
their
it doesn't.
first inning went yesterday.
Yeah.
Trey Turner, the leadoff hitter, slaps a single.
Wait a minute. Then he actually was a threat to run.
He's on
potentially?
first base.
Oh wow, this is incredible. It's going to blow my mind.
And then, how about this?
What happened?
Bryce Harper grounds out, but it moved Trey Turner
Wait a
to
minute.
second
No,
base.
no, it didn't. The
Because
Phillies can't do
he's
that.
Fast.
They're not allowed.
A dribbler back to the pitcher with Kyle Schwarber on first base
Wow.
is 2.
That's 2.
With
Yes.
Trey Turner on first, he gets the second fielder's choice, 1 out.
What happened?
Alec Bohm single.
Wait a minute.
And Trey Turner with his speed scores from second. 1-1 tie ball game in the bottom of the first inning.
Melvin Belvin in the analytics department is really upset. He didn't like the launch angle. He didn't like the lineup.
He's saying, my spreadsheet says we should do something different.
Now hold on, I'm not done.
What happened?
Oh, you can't take Kyle Schwarber out of the leadoff spot. He's uncomfortable everywhere else.
And of course, Bryce wants to hit third because he's comfortable there. He's a 3-hole hitter.
Clean up Schwarber.
What happened?
Drives a double.
Oh, no.
And Alec Bohm scores.
Wait a minute. How does Alec Bohm score from first?
Well, he scored because the ball went to the wall because Kyle Schwarber can still hit the ball hard
Wow.
even if he's batting fourth.
Wow, that's amazing.
2-1 Phillies.
So it would have been double play, 2 outs with nobody on for Bryce Harper.
Yes.
If it was Kyle Schwarber leading off. Gotcha. Okay, good to know.
JT Realmuto then unfortunately strikes out, but the inning continues with
Get
a
used to that.
Max Kepler ground rule double.
Oh, my
Which
gosh.
scores Kyle Schwarber.
That's incredible.
3-1 Phillies. Castellanos walks, and then Bryson Stott grounds out to end the inning.
Wow.
But a 3-run first inning
An inning that
without
never
any
happens.
home runs.
And an inning that never happens if Kyle Schwarber bats leadoff. Never happens. It's a double play. Ground ball to the pitcher. He turns around. He throws Schwarber out. Double play.
So
Interesting.
baseball can still be played the traditional way.
I don't know that it can though. I'm telling you, there's a meeting in the analytics department 9 a.m. and they're all back.
Yeah.
They're all here.
Well-
Connor, you look like you're shaking your head in there.
I am.
What are you
Because-
shaking your head at?
Listen, we've all been on the same page with the Phillies need to change their approach. Like everybody in the fan base is on that same page.
Yeah, but it took the team 2 years to figure that out.
I understand. I don't care about took 2 years right now. I care about the season that's starting on Thursday. And
Man, I'm celebrating it.
we should be celebrating it. But I think there's also an apology owed.
Why?
Based on how we worried about Kyle Schwarber batting leadoff in previous lineups. I've been trying to tell you guys it's spring training.
Spring training is when you absolutely do things to practice for the regular season.
Well, you
So
said
they didn't do
You
it.
said when push comes to shove, the Phillies didn't do what they say they were going to do.
No, they didn't.
John, the season has not started. They're starting the opening day lineup with exactly what they told you were going to.
This is a manager who literally will wait 14 games and make a grand decision on a $300 million player.
He's done that before.
So
but
back his decision making, Connor, we have no idea what it will be.
we know that on opening day, they are going with the lineup that
So
they said they were
why
going
in the
to.
world did he not use it in spring training?
I don't know. Working on a
Give
backup
Kyle
plan.
Schwarber
Working
at
on
bats.
He doesn't need to work at a backup plan. He knows what the backup plan is. He used it for 3 years. There's no That's a terrible answer.
That-
You don't have a good answer
John,
on it.
I don't, because
Right.
I'm not in Rob Thompson's head. All I know is they told us they were doing something. You guys complained about them not doing it for weeks. Then they're going to do it anyway, like I told you they were going to.
They're not.
Like I
Connor,
told you, just CT
Like he told-
guarantee.
Every
he
time
told-
this
like he
conversation
told-
has come up,
This is
check
not,
the tapes.
This is more importantly. I said to you last week, why are they not doing it now? Well, spring training is about working on things. No, spring training is about working on things to get ready for the regular season. It's not to, well, they got to get Schwarber's. No, Schwarber knows how to bat leadoff. He's done that very well for
So
3
does
years.
Trey Turner.
No, he doesn't. He hasn't done it in 4 years.
He didn't just forget. All right, he's,
Well,
he's a major league, like he's been an all MLB player at his position. He didn't just forget how to hit off the lead.
At
hit
the
out
plate,
of the leadoff
at the
spot.
plate, he certainly is.
All I know is
Not in the field.
the lineup that they gave you yesterday is the lineup that we all want. Well,
Yes.
not all. I can't
It's
say
a
all
start.
because there are
Right.
Schwarber leadoff people in this building. Best show ever is a Schwarber leadoff show.
I like that.
I'm pro Turner. I mean, I hope the Peace Treaty's okay. I'm a Turner leadoff guy. I'm a traditionalist when it comes to the sport of baseball. And they manufactured runs yesterday without relying on Kyle Schwarber hitting a home run to start a game, which is something always people always go, look at their record when he leads off the game with a home run.
That's incredible.
Look, I like scoring 3 runs in the first inning. How about that? I like not clogging up the bases. All right, speaking of Trey Turner, I have another story for you that goes back to my point that we want to be loved. So when I was in Clearwater and I did the Q&A with Boa and Jason Werth, Jason Werth and Larry Boa both kind of laughed at the standing ovation,
Okay.
considering like
They should've.
that would never have happened for us.
Yes, they should have laughed at it.
But Jason Werth loved it because he remembered how it felt when he first came back after signing the contract and getting booed, and it kind of hurt because he won a World Series with the Phillies. He was
Sure.
an important piece with that World Series team, and he's like, man, I'm getting booed just because I made life-changing money for another team. All right, that kind of sucks. He loved when it was happening. Now, he had a theory like I did, what if this doesn't work? Then what are we going to do? But whatever, it worked. And when he said the season turned because of you, and he pointed to the group of people of Philly sports strips that were there, they almost like started crying tears of happiness. Why? Because they were loved.
You make a good point. I can't argue with it because I've been guilty of it. So, but when you started to say it, I'm like, nah, I don't buy it. And then you point out and I'm like, look, I'm guilty of that behavior.
So coming up next, I want to hear from you guys on the psyche of the Philadelphia sports fan. Have I found a new theory? It's not no one likes us, we don't care. It's we want to be loved. And I think that's what it is, because I'll be honest, I do. Hand up. I'd rather people say nice things about us. Do you like reading negative tweets online, John? Sometimes they make me laugh.
I do usually laugh,
But like
yes.
I would rather see
Sure.
nothing but flowers.
Absolutely.
I know that's not life, but like I would rather see compliments than constant ripping.
Yes,
We as fans would rather be complimented than ripped.
sure you would.
So, am I on to something? And how do we show the respect to Alec Bohm to start the season? 610-632-0975. We check our text line for the first time this morning. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
The Philadelphia 76ers.
Sixers win. Play that song.
The Philadelphia Flyers.
Rebound in front.
Championship Tuesday morning. So Connor says we have texts. So I wonder, are people chiming in about the what are the people chiming in on? Because I love the Alec Bohm discussion, which then stemmed into the wanting to be loved discussion. We got the opening day lineup, which I would imagine majority of people are willing to see. So there's the support group, which is us.
Right.
I support Trey Turner leadoff.
I absolutely want, and I don't want
my lineup.
And I don't want Rob Thompson to go 14 games, and we're going to be able to get it as they continue to throw lifelines at Brandon Marsh.
I remember
and give him hundreds of games.
I remember last year when this debate obviously happened. It was early on in the season, first month. Kyle Schwarber's numbers in the leadoff spot and the 4-hole were identical. So, like, don't give me the whole he's more comfortable.
It doesn't
like,
make sense.
That double yesterday had nothing to do with where he was in the order. He's a good hitter.
Well, if he was
period.
comfortable, it would have been a home run.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
That's what we're being
That could
told.
have been it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there are a lot of people who are – there are Schwarber leadoff people. There are. They like the first pitch home run. They like that he gets on base, which is true, and that is still an important thing for a leadoff hitter to do. It's just – the clogging of the base paths is something that really does bother me. And as we said, yesterday's first inning, albeit a spring training game, doesn't happen if Kyle Schwarber's on first base because that ball's a double play, whereas Trey Turner is so lightning fast. He gets the second. It's a fielder's choice. He scores on a base hit the next play. What are the people saying this? I'm curious what people are chiming in on this morning at 610-632-0975.
Yeah, it's all in the love conversation so far.
Okay.
So JB in Pottstown checks in. And he's got a little remix for us. He says, so is Andrew suggesting that we change the song? Please just love us. Please just love us. Please just love us because we care. We're from Philly, awesome Philly. Please just love us because we care.
I mean, that's great work.
Connor,
by
you can spin a tune too. Connor,
Good job, Connor.
Good job, Connor.
Thank
like
you.
a lot of people
Appreciate
singing
it.
that'd be clumsy.
But JB's spot on there.
That is sort of spot on. I hate that version of the song. I don't like the other. I don't like the lie song either.
Well, that's the thing.
I don't like the great lie
The
song.
no one
either.
likes us, we don't care is a lie.
It's a complete lie.
Because we get angry when somebody
didn't
says
pick us?
Right, exactly.
Oh, look. There's always a screenshot before every Eagles
Yep,
game.
absolutely.
That's a big game. Oh, look who picked the Ravens.
Yep.
Look who picked the Chiefs.
But you know what else?
Nobody gives us the
what else
respect.
we've noticed is when somebody does pick us, that person becomes a hero.
He's our guy.
I used the Kyle Brandt example again. Super Bowl 52. He was like the leading charge nationally for the Eagles in the playoff run, and that the Eagles were going to beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. And my God, the number of followers that Kyle Brandt probably gained from the Philadelphia area, the Eagles fans, it probably went up 10,000 just from Eagles fans because people love that kind of stuff. When people talk smack about Philadelphia, we get angry, but we love it when somebody says something nice about us.
Yes.
And so I think I tapped into the psyche of the Philadelphia sports fan. Just love us.
Matt Ryan, when he was almost at the Super Bowl,
Yep.
he got like people getting on his back because he picked the Chiefs like 34-31 or whatever he did.
Yep.
That he got people were on his back. And
Right
so,
away.
look, it's how it works.
But if he picked the Eagles,
but
it would have
there's
been
Matt. We love Matt. Yeah,
we
Matt.
love Matt Ryan. Great analyst. One
That's
of
our
the
guy.
better analysts out there because he picked us. What else do we have?
We also have a check in here where it might not be love, but it might be fairness. So Jackie from Mantua says, good morning. While I don't want to be loved or hated
neighbor.
as a Philly fan, what I do want is feelings based on current facts, not bringing up things from long ago or things that are untrue. And I want our teams and players to get the respect they have earned.
Yeah, like still bringing up snowballs at Santa and batteries
How about-
and like I get it.
Okay, the snowballs at Santa. I was 2.
Yeah.
I was 2. So stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. Look at the hair.
Yeah. You
and
got
do
you
the
got
math
snowballs on your head.
And go, seriously, stop. Stop with the snowballs with Santa crap.
Yeah, and people do still bring that stuff up, but like it's funny, I saw a video the other day, I forget who posted it. And it was a video about Philadelphia fans at the vet. And this video was like 40 years old. Like you could just tell by the grainier footage, right?
You can also tell by the fans not all wearing jerseys in the stands.
Right, yeah. And it was like the rough and tumbling Eagles fans. And it's like, we're not that anymore. We're still tough. Philadelphia sports fans are still tough. Don't mess around with them. You know, don't come into the building wearing a Cowboys jersey and then start flipping people off. There will be fights. It does still happen. It also happens in every stadium of every fan base. This is not just a Philadelphia thing. But I watched that video and I go, we're not that anymore. And oh, by the way, I don't know if we should still be that anymore. I do believe we should still hold athletes to certain standards, which is why when you bring up this Alec Bohm discussion about showing him respect to start the season, I think respect is fair. But I'm not about to be like, here we go, Alec. You got this, buddy. Like,
Again,
I'm not doing
nothing
that.
contrived. Just cheer for him the way you would cheer for Trey Turner, the way you would cheer for because the blind support we gave Trey Turner, who had done absolutely nothing for this town, this Alec Bohm at least deserves.
But because
let's get the best
because
out
it
of
worked, people are going to think it could continue.
Let's get the best out of him.
Now, hang on. When we gave Alec Bohm the standing ovation for the I bleeping hate this place thing, he had done very little for this franchise at that point.
He absolutely had. But right now, we benefit nothing from absolutely nothing from riding his ass from the beginning of this year.
Your point is not incorrect. I'm absolutely with you on the show him the respect he deserves, root for the guy. He plays for your team. You're not going to win without him. But like, he didn't have anything. We gave it to him. Trey Turner didn't have any stock in this city, but he had a lot of stock at the major league level. And I think that's part of where that came from. If Trey Turner was Whit Merrifield, like Whit Merrifield's not getting a standing ovation because the guy hasn't done
Well, we gave
anything.
him the standing ovation, and Trey Turner
Whit Merrifield had a good career.
and he delivered for 6 weeks. And other than that,
last year was a good season.
Yeah, but it has not been anything close to what they expected to be getting out of him.
I understand. Last year was a very good season.
More importantly, he's the butcher. He is the butcher in the field, which means they've got another problem on their hands. Just 9 more years of that contract.
Well, no, I read the article. What was it? Dombrowski said it finally like 2 weeks ago that Turner's not the shortstop moving like all for the rest of the contract.
Right. That's what it says.
So
what's
maybe
it going to be?
next year.
So you moving Stott over? You getting rid of Stott?
Yeah, no, you're moving Stott over.
Or then why are we not doing it now? He's terrible. He's terrible.
Yeah, he's been a bad
short.
Guess what? He's not good. His problem is not throwing, right?
No, his problem is he's not good fielding the baseball.
So does that change at second base?
Yes, he's going to be. It should be. It's a much easier position to field.
It's easier because the throw is shorter.
And it's an easier position to field.
I mean, if Kyle Schwarber's hitting the ball one hop smoked at the second base, it's not that much easier.
The degree of difficulty in the infield. Give me the positions. Who has to be your best fielder in order?
Shortstop's 1, third base is 2, second base is 3.
I would say I think that's fair.
But at the major league level, it's marginal, the difference between shortstop and second base, if throwing's not the guy's problem.
They already know they're going to do it, but why are they not doing it now?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Stott's in his prime. Stott could handle the position. He's the better shortstop. But again, you're making a decision to not do something that's for the best of the team.
Well, maybe it's not.
He's comfortable there.
No. Maybe it's not. Bryson Stott has got to figure out if he can hit at the major league level still. Maybe moving him to shortstop and giving him a different thing to focus on in the field makes that tougher for him, and they say we'd rather not put more on the young guy's plate.
All right. Well,
the young guy.
He's still young.
Speaking of doing what's best for the team.
Yes.
Coming up next, something that is already bothering me.
Okay.
I'm sure is bothering you. And will bother every Phillies fan for the time being. The question is, we know it's coming, so how do we handle it? I'll explain more coming up next. We'll reset today's topics about our psyche and the need to feel loved by people outside of Philadelphia. It is Kincade and Salciunas on this Tuesday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Phil's position players are set. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies opening day roster is starting to take shape as we're just 2 days away from the start of the regular season. Cody Clemens will round out the position players as announced by the team yesterday. They're going to seek a trade for Buddy Kennedy, who is the other guy in that conversation for the final spot as a position player on the opening day roster. Still some work to do with the bullpen, but even with little change to the roster this offseason, Corey Seidman of NBC Sports Philadelphia joined the best show ever yesterday and talked about the players knowing the stakes of this season.
Everybody realizes this is the last dance with this team. So I can understand why fans might feel that there hasn't been enough change, but I would just still point out that this is one of the best 3 or 5 rosters in all of baseball.
So, talent, but a lot on the line. It's a big year down at the ballpark in South Philly. The Sixers fell to the Pelicans 112-99 last night. They have the night off tonight. Flyers take on the Maple Leafs tonight at 7 p.m. You can hear that game live here on The Fanatic. Jeff McLane of The Inquirer will join us coming up at 8:25. Amy Fadul will join us for the entire 9 o'clock hour. This update's brought to you by Groundworks, your expert for basement waterproofing and foundation repair since 1997. Book your free inspection at groundworks.com. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Philadelphia Union Soccer.
Fanatic on this Tuesday morning.
It's like a Brady Bunch episode. The kids are fighting.
Yeah, everybody's fighting.
Kids are fighting.
I've been back from vacation for one day, and everybody's pissed off already.
Kids are fighting, going back and forth on this Schwarber thing, which, by the way, they did say yesterday, the Phillies beat writers, they're going to go with multiple lineups. So they're going to have Schwarber lead off some days and Turner lead off some days. By the way, not a winning formula.
Yeah, I don't like that.
All we need to do is look at that is not a winning formula.
Explain why that's not a winning formula.
Give it to me. Give it to me, the teams that use multiple lineups in modern day baseball, that's what they're doing. If batting leadoff is such a thing, and by the way, Brett, listening to Bryce Harper talk about going from 3 to 2 sounds like he's being asked to do quantum physics. Like it's such a difference, such a big thing. Going from leadoff, well, Schwarber's comfortable at leadoff because batting cleanup is totally different. They make it sound like you're splitting the freaking atom.
Now, do you buy that?
No, because day one to day one, you're changing it. So you can't tell me that and then go, well, one day, Kyle, we'll pencil you in at leadoff. One day, we'll pencil you in at cleanup.
Right, so you don't buy the premise that it's tougher for them to bat in different spots.
I do believe that people at any walk of life want to be comfortable.
Okay.
But the thing is, so you don't do multiple lineups then. Then you don't do what Rob Thompson's going to do. You don't go, well, one day you're going to bat leadoff, and one day you're going to bat cleanup.
Yeah,
because your approach is different. That makes no sense.
The consistency in the line.
Players, if players want the consistency, Andrew, if they want the consistency, then you give them the consistency.
Well, look, if Trey Turner is off for a day, then put Kyle Schwarber in the leadoff.
Turner's your leadoff hitter. How about we say Turner's a leadoff hitter till Memorial Day? We're going to take a $300 million player, and we're going to give him an actual shot to show what he can do. We're not going to do what we did last time, where I'm yanking him before the middle of April. We didn't even give him to the middle of April before I yanked the leadoff hitting away from him because, well, that experiment's over. Not doing it. It's the back and forth and the back and forth. If these players say they want to get comfortable, put them in a spot, let them get comfortable.
And we've also seen mistakes made in the past where guys get moved up. Right, because of success. I remember Michael Franco when he batted eighth.
He was the best hitter on the planet.
He was the greatest eighth hitter in the history of Major League Baseball. He was like, his OPS was like 1 billion batting eighth. They moved him up to the middle of the order. What happened? He got exposed, right? He wasn't good for that spot. So there is comfortability. There's also knowing your players. And if Trey Turner can have success in the leadoff spot and Kyle Schwarber can have success in the cleanup spot, give me all the analytics you want in the world. That makes more sense still. Not clogging up base paths.
The general manager and the manager lectured us on it in the offseason going, yeah, we have to unleash Trey. We got to find ways to be able to loosen up on the base paths so we can take advantage of his speed. And by the way, for Harper, too, to be able to do these things. So there it is. They're telling you they need to do something, and then it's like, well, some days we're going to go back to Kyle's going to bat leadoff, too.
They play 162 games, John. They're going to do different things. Listen, the opening day lineup is what they told us it was going to be. We don't know what any lineup past that date is going to be. I find it very hard to believe that Trey Turner is going to go out there and bat like 300 out of the leadoff spot, and then they're going to move him out of that spot. Like, if he's good in the leadoff spot, they're going to do that.
If he's hitting 150 after a week,
then you're going to pull the plug,
and maybe you shouldn't make it that quick.
Right.
It's like your Eagles discussion about patience.
How about Memorial
Day?
With you. Is Memorial Day? Is that okay?
That's too far.
Depending on if you're let's look at the record. Come Memorial Day.
The Phillies are right there in the mix towards the top teams in the NL East at the 50-game mark, and Trey is not where they want him to be, but he's showing glimpses, but he's not where they want to be. You pull the plug?
50. I'll take 50 games over 14.
I would absolutely take 50 over 14 too. That's all I'm asking for.
And I don't think that's going to be the case.
All I'm asking for, 7 weeks of baseball. 7 weeks.
Yeah, but they're just it's not realistic to expect the same lineup till Memorial Day. There's going
to be interchanging. Right, there's going to be interchanging parts.
Well, that's all
I'm talking
saying
1-4. No, they're not. They're talking about using almost it being a split. They're talking about it being almost like a 60-40, 55-45.
We're going to use multiple lineups. I didn't hear anything about percentages of split in there.
Schwarber batting leadoff is going to happen.
At some point, yes.
And it's going to happen more commonly than we think.
Man, we need opening day.
I'll call
We're
right,
just a
I'll call
couple-
right
we're a
now.
couple
You know
days
this
away.
is happening.
I don't, John.
Okay.
John, 2 days
Then
ago,
I'll give-
you
know
knew
what I'll
they
give you
weren't
then?
batting Trey
I'm
Turner
gonna
leadoff.
No, I didn't say that. I'm giving you the CT18 responsibility for you, Connor. I'll give you the CT18. They're going to, if this in any way, Rob Thompson, Mr. Nervous, who I never want to have the nuclear codes, is going to panic. And I will bet it and anything you want. And if it is and if I have to reject the CT18 and take responsibility for it being wrong, I will.
You're
Panic?
listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN and WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia. Beasley Media Group station broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. Also, what we've been talking about today, Alec Bohm, you started the show off with bringing up how he should get respect coming into the season.
How about just support and not the grace period? A grace period to get things going instead of he goes 1 for 6 to start the year and the boos are
Now, let me
raining
ask you, what if the attitude
Oh, well, that's
in 1 for 6 is bad?
Done.
Because we've been told
Done.
great attitude. Now, Terry checks in
Okay.
on social media.
Hi, Terry.
She said no
Okay.
to your want of showing the right out of the
support.
gate support.
Okay, why?
He had all winter and spring training to get himself together. Rob needs to hold each player accountable for how they play the game and their behavior. So she doesn't want to give any special treatment to Alec.
Okay. I guess what? You are that's what Haley says. Haley doesn't want to either. Our own Haley does not. She wants him, no grace period for him. Okay. Then you better not be giving any grace period to Trey Turner. Better not be doing that because he's doing a lot less to earn what he's making and doing a lot less of what was expected. And Bryson Stott's 27. He's not young.
How old's Trey Turner?
He's 31.
Trey Turner's 31.
Okay, so the guy's...
No, but I'm saying Bryson Stott's 27, by the way, if that earlier conversation.
No.
He's not some young kid that we need to worry about his psyche and his...
Yeah, the daycare's done.
Come
Like,
on.
there's-
He's
it's not-
27.
Stop with the daycare. I know the daycare's done. That's
No,
not what I'm saying.
I'm trying to make a message to the Philadelphia sports fans.
Yes.
Because I know what's going to happen. Oh, the daycare. Like, no.
These kids, give them time. They're young. No, they're not young.
This is you're upperclassmen in high school.
Yeah, but
27.
But Stott at 27 versus Turner at 31 are in totally different spots in their
there's a
baseball
difference.
career.
Yeah.
There's
I got
a
you.
major difference.
27, though, is not young in baseball.
But it's young for this team. Like, that's
For
the
this
thing.
team. But I look around baseball.
It's
I see
not
I see
young at all.
22-year-old phenoms.
22-year-old
all
is
over.
young in baseball.
I understand. I'm looking at the end of Does Bryson Stott have stuff to figure out as a baseball player?
I think he was
I think
injured.
everybody does.
I think he was injured last year because 22 and 23, I truly became a believer.
He's had his spring training numbers, by the way, in terms of like the walks and strikeouts are great. Like, he's like back to that.
The discerning eye.
Yeah.
Remember the at bat versus the Braves?
Yeah.
In the
14
Braves
pitches
series
or whatever.
in 22
Against Strider,
and he
yeah.
was awesome, spectacular.
All right, we got to prepare ourselves for something.
Okay,
I have to prepare myself, Connor, John, Phillies fans. Unfortunately, due to Ranger Suarez's injury, Taijuan Walker will be your 5th starter to start the season. Taijuan Walker, who, by the way, finished his spring with a 4-inning, 6-hit, 4-earned run performance where he walked 3, struck out 2. He finished the spring with a 7.41 ERA. So remember when we were told how great his velocity looked when he first got back to spring?
Oh, yeah.
And how he looked stronger and blah,
those
blah,
were the
blah.
talking points.
Yeah, no. Again, they sell you a bag of goods. That's what teams do all across sports. Not just baseball. But they once again tried selling the bag of goods of Taijuan Walker. It was the PR tour.
Oh, yeah.
It's clearly showing that he's not back to where he was 2, 3, 4 years ago.
He'll pitch, by the way, if you're planning on going to next Thursday's day game against the Rockies. That will be his start.
Can't wait for
barring any rainouts. And by the way, opening day looks like it might be a rainout home opener. Mm-hmm. And they have the day off on Tuesday to make up for it. Monday's weather looks horrendous right now. Tuesday looks perfect.
Yeah.
54 and sunny. So it looks like you'll probably see opening day shift.
So here's the deal. It's inevitable. Taijuan Walker will get starts until Suarez comes back. Painter's not going to be up till probably like June. And last year they tried the Tyler Phillips, the Mercados, the let's just keep on throwing out guys
Sure.
That have options that can come up and be sent down. We already know it's Taijuan Walker. I don't like it, but I know it's coming.
And you understand it.
Yes,
I understand it.
but I can still hate it.
I hate it. Well, because of the fact.
So how
look,
do we handle it?
He's a place setter. He's a placekeeper until July when Andrew Painter gets unleashed.
Yeah, but he's a horrible placekeeper. Like
He's
it's
not horrible. No, if they
he's not
have
competitive.
if they have to use him often, it's malpractice.
Yeah.
It's absolute malpractice. If he gets 10 starts before the All-Star break,
That can't happen.
it's a joke.
It can't happen. You got to find ways. Hell, do opener games. I don't care.
Well,
like I can't do.
You had all off season.
Taijuan Walkers.
You had all off season to make a move here and to fix this.
They did.
Well, they did. Jesus Luzardo.
Well, no, not that. They brought in Joe Ross, who's a swing guy, who started at points in Milwaukee before he came here. I think the problem is the Ranger Suarez thing happened so late that they didn't stretch out
Amp
Joe
up.
Ross as a starter. So now they have to go with Taijuan Walker. Now, the expectation, Rob Thompson said, is 3 starts missed for Ranger Suarez.
Yeah.
And Dave Dombrowski said he could pitch in April. So if we survive these 3 Walker starts and Suarez comes back and then someone gets hurt, I imagine Ross is going to be the guy that gets the next opportunity. If Walker's terrible,
He'd be the first man on deck.
When Walker's terrible. Like it's when. Like unfortunately,
Yeah.
I feel bad for the guy. I said it to you guys when I called in last week.
You're not
like,
rooting for it.
No,
You know what I mean?
And part of me goes, man, I give this guy respect that he keeps going out there. Like it's embarrassing if you're Taijuan Walker going out there and getting shelled constantly, especially yesterday against a spring training lineup. Like that's embarrassing.
I always have a little bit of bad feeling a little bit with him though because of the way he acted in 22 when Rob didn't put him in the round.
I didn't
and
like
he
that.
acted like he belonged in there and that
Yeah.
Rob didn't do him a
And
favor.
it really didn't play
Makes
out
it
well
harder
for him.
Makes it harder to root for him a little bit, but he's ours.
This guy, like, it's just we have to deal with it. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to remind myself that. We're all gonna have to remind ourselves that. As long as they're not doing this during the middle of the season like they did last year when it was like embarrassing. All right, coming up next, we'll open up some football talk. I know the offseason hasn't been splashy, Johnny, but maybe you don't want it to be. Coming up next, I'm going to give you the top 10 highest paid non-quarterbacks. You might not want to be on this list. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. We want to hear from you, so text us at 610-63... messages here momentarily as we start off with some Phillies discussion and the psyche of the Philadelphia sports fan. I think I have a new theory. Well, no, I know I have a new theory, but I think I'm spot on. The no one likes us, we don't care baloney goes out the window. Just love me is what people want. The Philadelphia sports fan just wants to be loved. And that's okay. You know? It's okay to want to be loved. It's okay to want something, John. We all have wants. We all have needs. We want to be loved. We are the little brother of all the other major markets. We get talked down to. We get backhanded compliments. We just want to be loved or respected. That's it.
I think that's
I'm
fair.
Something.
I do think you're onto something. Right. And the fact that you sort of caught me in.
I caught you in it.
Buying in it, I'm going, yeah, I definitely live that way.
We love that people were rooting for the Eagles.
I was literally trying to teach people, well, here's what you say.
Yeah.
Here's how you do it.
You want people to be a part of it.
I did it in Jamaica. I taught the bartenders. All the bartenders that whenever they said, we see more, now, just at this resort, they said, we see more Eagles gear than we see of any other football fan base at this resort.
That's awesome.
And I said, so we all know it's Go Birds now.
Damn
and
right.
by the last day, they all knew Go Birds,
Damn
Go
right.
Birds.
Yeah, you taught
so
them
they
well.
learned it. So anybody who visits afterwards will now can thank me.
All right.
They all know Go Birds.
I have in front of me the highest paid non-quarterbacks in average annual salary. And I believe this is a list you don't want to be on, even though the Eagles are on the list, but way toward the bottom of the top 10.
Okay.
Numero uno, Jamar Chase, Cincinnati Bengals. Connor Thomas will be their safety this year.
Hey, I could.
Yeah, you could, and you'll get burnt.
Burnt like toast.
Myles Garrett, number 2, Cleveland Browns. They're going to win 3 games this year.
That could be really, really bad.
Daniel Hunter with the Texans. He's a stud, and they are a good football team. We'll see how it goes this year. They got rid of their left tackle in Laramie Tunsil. The receivers are coming back from injury, and C.J. Stroud left a lot on the table last year.
So they're turning over their offensive line. They're going to have 2 new starters.
Yeah.
Maybe a third from what I've read.
Number 4 on this list, Max Crosby. Now, again, all these guys are deserving of, let me make this clear.
Okay.
All deserving of the pay. Jamar Chase is the best wide receiver in football. Myles Garrett's the best edge rusher. Daniel Hunter's up there. Max Crosby's up there. But plays for the Raiders. They will win maybe 7 to 8 games this year and be in purgatory because they're going to extend Geno Smith. Justin Jefferson is on this list with the Minnesota Vikings. Now, they went on a spending spree, so they clearly had the money. But then it goes to CeeDee Lamb and the Cowboys, who are in trouble. Nick Bosa and the 49ers, who are shedding salary. DK Metcalf and the Steelers, who they traded for, extended, and they don't have a quarterback yet. And then you get to the last 2 Super Bowl champions, A.J. Brown with the Eagles and Chris Jones with the Chiefs. But the top 8, those teams aren't necessarily in the best positions to succeed.
Okay.
So they have the splashy player. And then you go to the guaranteed salaries. Myles Garrett's number 1, Nick Bosa's 2, Jamar Chase is 3, Jefferson is 4, Lamb is 5, Chris Jones is 6 with the Chiefs, Max Crosby, Tristan Wirfs, Joshua Hines-Allen with the Jags, and Brian Burns with the Giants. Those teams are not going to win anything. The Bucs might be dangerous this year. And then we'll keep an eye on what Minnesota does with J.J. McCarthy at quarterback.
Sure.
The point
and by the way, I am on that one. I think Connor's family's going to have a
fun season.
A good year with him.
Yeah.
Because I'm a fan of his.
He doesn't have to do much.
He's just going to have to be what he is. He's like a game manager type anyway.
Right, exactly.
And he's got a great coach to coach him up.
So the point I'm trying to make here is there were people, and we're going to get into this more coming up next. We had a texter yesterday that was upset with the Eagles offseason. How can you say that this offseason is successful at all when blah, 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 blah? And I get it. We talked about Myles Garrett for a few days. Max Crosby was tweeting out Eagles emojis, right? And had the big E, chain around his neck.
Sure.
And people were trying to, put 2 and 2 together, which It did not equal 4, right? The only thing that was 4 was the $40 million that he's getting paid a year with the Raiders. Like, that's the only 4. The Eagles didn't need to make a splash. They didn't.
No, they didn't need to.
And they're still going to be Super Bowl contenders. So what we're going to do coming up next, I'm going to revisit this text message that was made yesterday. And what I'm going to do is also go to a very unnecessary article just to make a point. John, I know how much you love power rankings during the season.
Oh, nothing better.
What about March 25th power rankings?
Really not my favorite. After the draft, how about this? After the draft and after free agency, I'm much more into
I
it.
have the post-free agency pre-draft or post-first wave free agency.
Here we go.
Pre-draft power rankings on ESPN. For those of you who are upset, and I want to actually hear from people that are truly upset because we had one yesterday. Spoiler, they went up in the power rankings. It is Kincade and Salciunas. We open up a little Eagles discussion coming up next here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
2 days till opening day. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies opening day is coming up Thursday, and the roster is starting to take shape as we get closer to that date. Cody Clemens is going to round out the position players as announced by the team yesterday, so they've got all of the fielders locked down. The pitching staff in the bullpen still needs a little bit of fine-tuning to figure out who's going to be in those final couple of spots, but there hasn't been much change to the roster this year. And even without a big splash change, Corey Seidman of NBC Sports Philadelphia joined the best show ever yesterday to confirm that the players, well, they know the stakes of this season.
Everybody realizes this is the last dance with this team. So I can understand why fans might feel that there hasn't been enough change, but I would just still point out that this is one of the best 3 or 5 rosters in all of baseball.
Talented team, a lot on the line. That's this Phillies season in a nutshell. As we get closer, it's a big year down at the ballpark in South Philadelphia. The Sixers fell to the Pelicans 112-99 last night. They're going to be off tonight. Flyers take on the Maple Leafs. Puck drop is at 7 p.m. You can hear that game live here on The Fanatic. Jeff McLane of The Inquirer will join us coming up at 8:25. Amy Fadul will join us for the entire 9 o'clock hour. This update's brought to you by Worldwide Stereo. Their new trade-in program makes upgrading your home audio easy. Trade in your used audio and video gear for superior sound in 2025. Learn more at worldwidestereo.com. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic, and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Philadelphia Sports.
Touchdown! Saquon Barkley!
at a 6th Final Destination?
I've seen that.
How many more can you make? I guess you can always find
a million of them.
Yeah, you can, because what was that show called? 1,000 Ways to Die?
That's a great show.
Yeah, like you literally could keep on making them, but it's just at what point do you stop watching it? I think I watched like 2 or 3 when I was younger.
Yeah, but like Fast and Furious, they're on like what, 13 or something?
I stopped, dude. I stopped at like 4.
But if you like that stuff, you'll still watch it.
Yeah, I guess, even though now they're like in space and stuff. But like, I don't know, like how many Final Destinations, like, and like the trailer, they did like a mini teaser yesterday. It's like it's freaking me out. It's in a bar, and a guy drops a glass, and the glass shatters.
All right, so
and
what does that mean?
Piece of the glass went into the giant tub of ice that they scooped to put in drinks.
And someone drank the ice and it got him.
Someone drank the ice and they died because of that?
Well, there was glass in there.
There was a big shard of glass, and then they drink in it. They swallow a piece of glass. They go. That's your Final Destination.
Okay, but I thought that it was always about death chasing you.
Yeah.
The premise.
Yeah.
So why was the person in the bar being chased?
I don't know. They made.
What did they
something bad?
They were picked. They were picked that day.
I thought it was always like you avoided death in one spot, so then death chased you. Because that I know was the premise.
That's usually how it starts.
That was the premise of a couple of them.
That's usually how it starts. Yeah.
The very talented Jacqueline McGinnis Woods starred in one of them. Very attractive. Very attractive.
Very talented. How about that?
From The Bold and the Beautiful. Very good.
All right, so I gave you that list of the highest paid players in the NFL right now, and A.J. Brown is on the top 10. But other than A.J. Brown and Chris Jones, the other teams aren't really all that successful, and really only one of them has like high upside, and that's the Minnesota Vikings with Justin Jefferson. You understand why he would get paid. So yesterday, Johnny, I thought about this text a lot. Surprisingly, like I had way too much time with this text on my mind yesterday. We had a texter yesterday complaining about the Eagles' offseason, going, man, all they got is Azeez Ojulari. And I understand if you're not like locked in the way that we are. We understand.
Right.
And we still don't know the cap to its full extent. Right?
No, absolutely. I don't.
I didn't know that they were going to be shedding salary this year. The only thing I didn't want to do was thank you contracts. I heard the open from last week that played on Monday when I first came back yesterday. And that was one of the biggest issues with the Eagles back in 2018 when they gave the thank you contracts to a lot of players and they got old quickly, which is clearly what they're avoiding trying to do, which is why Dallas Goedert is still on the trading block for the Philadelphia Eagles. They want to try to get younger at tight end and less expensive at tight end. They need to start thinking about paying guys like Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith and Jordan Davis down the road. So when I hear that text, when Connor reads that text to us yesterday, it kind of disappointed me that somebody's bummed out by the offseason so far, because my only question for that person is, what did you want them to do?
I would also say is, what do the experts who build the billion-dollar casinos, what do they think about the exits and what the Eagles have done? They think the Eagles are the best team in
still
football.
Have them as the number one team in the NFC.
Like that to me is where you just got to go, okay, I think I know, but I just don't know, to use the Jim Mora line. I think I know, but I don't know. I think those losses are big, and Vegas is shrugging them off going, nah, the Eagles are just fine.
Yeah. And it's not just the losses, to that texter's point. It's also who they got. And really, your biggest addition was Ojulari, right? Like, that's your...
Azeez Ojulari is your Josh Sweat replacement.
Yeah, and then the guy was concerned because of the injuries, and I get it. Like, he has not been necessarily healthy the last couple of years, but I don't know. Like, it was like a bad attitude text. And I'm not saying you got to keep on showing them love because they won the Super Bowl. You know me. I'm quick to move on from love. I'm quick to move on to what's next. And what's next to me is the 2025 season. So I'm not still in the honeymoon period, but I also got to be fair. Like, we talked about Myles Garrett, and John, you were right. Like, it was never going to happen. Max Crosby was never going to happen. They went back to their teams because they got the most money there.
And they took, like, I think it's embarrassing what they both did.
I completely agree.
Going on a tour, like, just being like, Yeah, I deserve to be. And then, it was just a money ploy.
But it shows you that it never mattered.
You're
It
not
shows you
about
that
winning.
it was never going to happen.
You're not about winning. You were just about trying to drive up your price.
And then what other moves happened? What other free agents that signed? And forget Josh Sweat and Milton Williams. I'm talking about other teams where a player became a free agent that signed elsewhere, that didn't sign here, where you said, "Damn, that was a miss. I wish the Eagles got that player." Was there somebody that stood out this year?
No,
I don't think so. Like last year, I remember having legitimate conversations about Saquon Barkley versus Patrick Queen. Like that was a legitimate discussion.
There was.
Once it happened. There's been no man, the Eagles should have gotten that guy.
When I saw Patrick Queen's numbers is when I was out.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's somebody they got to be thinking about. And then when I saw the numbers he got, I'm like, no. And now, look, that's what you're paying Zach Bond, pretty much.
Now, you mentioned Vegas. So ESPN did their way too early power rankings. Post first wave of free agency.
It's unbelievable.
I laugh. I love ESPN. I laugh. The Eagles actually climbed up 4 spots, Johnny.
What? Wait a minute. They were behind whom?
They were behind.
Who did they jump?
They jumped the Ravens, Bills, and Lions to get to number 2 behind the Kansas City Chiefs.
They're behind the Kansas City Chiefs after the ass whipping? Are you kidding me? After beating them in Arrowhead the year before? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Now, wait a minute here. I absolutely can understand if someone says, I think the Lions are better. I think the Lions are better. I think their roster's better.
And if they didn't get hurt, it would have been different.
And if they didn't get hurt, it could have been different. I can understand that point of view because the Lions looked nasty till they took all the injuries. But are you kidding me? The Ravens? They went down there and put, belt to ass? Wasn't that the term? Yeah, they took BTA.
Yeah.
Like Lamar Jackson looked incompetent versus the Eagles defense. He got a touchdown late in the last 30 seconds or so to make it cosmetically close.
Right.
They crushed the Ravens.
Well, the Eagles moved up to 2. So for somebody
behind the Chiefs.
Yes, behind the Chiefs.
After what? What's the rationale?
I don't know, especially because the Chiefs' offensive line is
they're dog meat.
Dwindling
No,
of a sudden.
But they're dog meat.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
But the point
that is atrocious.
The point I'm trying to make, I know you love your power rankings.
Oh jeez, now you pissed me off.
The point I'm trying to make is this guy that texted us yesterday was upset. Now I want to know from more people at 610-632-0975. Now that it's like the first wave's done. Right?
It's done.
It's low tide. The tide is going back to the ocean. Eventually, wave 2 will happen. Eventually, the draft will happen, and there will be trades around draft day. And then, of course, post-draft is when a lot of free agents sign because the teams realize what they were able to acquire in the draft and what they were unable to acquire in the draft. So you'll see that second wave in about a month, right? Is there anybody that's actually upset? Now, I don't like the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade still. Like I haven't necessarily gotten over that just yet, and I'm worried.
I'm not happy with it either, especially because there was no true cost savings this year.
Right, and I'm worried about moving on from Dallas Goedert. I just am. I told you guys, borderline devastated when he gets traded.
Could be that his market is so soft.
Hopefully, he comes back. That's what I'm hoping.
Does the fact that his market is so soft, though, tell you something?
No, it tells you that nobody wants to pay this guy 3 to 4 years, which I don't want the Eagles to.
Exactly.
I want the Eagles to give him that extra year, rework the contract so that it's basically a 1-year extension, but it's really just a 1-year deal.
I would be completely fine with that.
And you draft your tight end in the second round this year. He backs up Dallas Goedert for a season, and then all of a sudden he's your starter next year with Grant Calcaterra or whoever.
That's fine.
That's what I want them to do.
I would be fine with that if they do that. I think it is telling, though, and I don't know who it was on ESPN on NFL Live that had and they actually they were surprised how soft the market appears to be.
Yeah.
For Dallas Goedert, they were thinking 5th. The Eagles are going to end up with like a 5th rounder.
You know what I'm thinking? Tight ends are being found in the draft in 2nd, 3rd, 4th round. Maybe you're not trading a 5th round pick for a guy that's in his 30s, where you could draft a tight end probably in the 5th round. So I would love to hear from you if you are still kind of upset. I'm not saying you have to, lick the boots of the Eagles. I don't like the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade, and I'm not in favor of moving on from Dallas Goedert, which it seems like that's going to be the case eventually. But to be upset, which our texter was yesterday, Are there more people out there that have been bummed out by what the Eagles are doing? I'm not saying angry. I don't think anybody can be angry with the team right now, but are you bummed out with what they've done? Because I don't know what more you would want them to have done at this point. Text in your answer on that. The psyche of the Philadelphia sports fan and how I think you all want to be loved. Phillies opening day lineup discussion as we found out who it is. We'll give you that again coming up next. And also, alongside your text messages at 610-632-0975, a lawsuit, Johnny, could be coming to a major basketball program in college. And I support it. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli.
I can't say that this team is not good, but you know what I mean?
voice coming out of the commercial break there.
What was the calming voice?
That right there.
You calm yourself?
Well, I kind of had to run back from the bathroom, so I'm trying to hold it. I'm not trying to.
I'm going to tell you, the boss, when he came up with the new clogs, he wasn't thinking
Potty breaks.
potty breaks. I mean, seriously, it puts us on. I actually check with Connor and say, here's what I have to do, whether it's number 1 or number 2. Go, Connor, can I make it in this break? And he's like, no, hold it till the 12.
Yeah, that was a number 1 piece just for the audience, and that's how quick the commercial breaks are, and that's for your enjoyment.
like that. We like
for your
that.
experience as a listener. Quicker commercial breaks. That's
This
what
is
the show's
what
all
we
about.
sacrifice for the people.
You like that?
Before we get to the text line on any of our topics today, I'm curious if anybody's chimed in about this Eagles discussion. Did you see this story that's happening with UConn?
Yes.
Connor, did you see it?
Nope.
God, Danny Hurley is such an ass.
Well,
He's such an ass.
yes. So, after UConn lost to Florida, it was a great game.
It was a great
Great game. Dan Hurley is caught on camera
Man-child.
walking into the tunnel, speaking to the Baylor team that was using that same tunnel as they were getting ready to play their game in the tournament. And he starts shouting, I hope the refs don't bleep you like they bleeped us. Baylor, I hope they don't bleep you. I hope they don't bleep you. They bleeped us today. And it was caught on camera. Now,
They had the video of that running all day.
if this was the head coach of like a Division III college, like Washington College,
Shout out to Shorman.
it's not going viral unless you have a coach that is known for being a bit of a mental case, which Dan Hurley is.
He is a mental case.
So,
He is the most unsportsmanlike head coach.
yeah, successful,
Oh, he's a very brilliant mind.
very brilliant basketball mind, but as a human being, an ass. He
Correct.
is.
No, he is. He's a jerk.
And so he gets caught on camera walking off the court into the tunnel, and this tweet goes viral from the reporter. The reporter works for Charlotte Sports Live,
Okay.
and his name's Joey Ellis. So this tweet's now going. This thing's blown up because it's Dan Hurley. It's another Dan Hurley bit of content where he looks like an ass. Deservedly so. I'm glad that he's being exposed. UConn's director of men's basketball communications, Bobby Mullen, went up to the reporter and demanded the tweet to be removed. Now, this thing has already blown
It's already
up.
been copied. It's already been pasted.
Yeah, like this guy's,
It's everywhere.
what do you want me to do? He said, if you don't, I will ruin your life.
Yep.
The NCAA is now considering a possible postseason ban and loss of scholarship spots for UConn because this took place in North Carolina where making threats are illegal. Now, I imagine threats are illegal in majority of states, but in the state of North Carolina, which is where this unfolded, law enforcement is taking it. I don't know how aggressive the I will ruin your life. We just know the quote. Was this a finger on chest against wall? I'll ruin your life? Or was this like a, hey, do you want to keep getting access? Like I don't know how this went.
Yeah, but
Well,
that's
the thing
like,
is, he won't need access. Charlotte won't need
Right,
access to
for
Connecticut.
UConn.
that's verging on extortion. And that's a felony right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. They can't. I saw them talk about it, that they said, because somebody did bring that up, what Connor just said, they cannot, under some reason, they can't do that.
Right.
But it is borderline that kind of behavior.
Now, the Bobby Mullen went on and actually did speak and said the lasting image of Coach Hurley leaving the court should have been his walking off the court, arm in arm with his seniors, overwhelmed with emotions. Instead, a reporter who was in the area he should not have been recording on a cell caught a private comment made to members of another coaching staff.
Completely false. And I saw them clear that up last night. He was not in an area where he shouldn't have been. He was absolutely in an area where media is allowed.
Yes. Remember Mike Silver
Oh, yes.
Showing the 49ers players because he wanted to be a part of the
Hey,
team.
Debo, come over here.
Reporters are allowed to be there.
And he's Silver's a lapdog.
Well,
They might as well get him a leash.
And look, Bobby Mullins technically is kind of the lapdog to Dan Hurley to try to make him look good and all this kind of stuff. Which, look, hard job. Hard job to make Danny Hurley look good other than being a successful basketball coach. But there could be a lawsuit to the point where UConn, who will be contenders again next year, might have a postseason ban if this goes down.
There you go.
And I support it. I do. Just because your coach is an ass doesn't mean you can go up to a reporter and say, I will ruin your life.
It doesn't. It just is. You're feeding off of Hurley and his behavior.
And by the way, I don't think Hurley was too out of line saying what he said.
No. I think Hurley.
I think he's done worse.
I think he had some gripes. And I'm a guy who picked Florida to win it all.
Right.
So I was happy to see how it ended. But if I was a Connecticut fan, I would have thought, dude.
Yeah, I get it.
Some of those
But
calls
if I'm Bobby Mullins, the director of communications for UConn, I'm trying to tell him to stop waving to the Creighton fans because that's the school that he left. Like, yo, dude, stop. Show some respect.
Exactly.
This is not like the worst thing that Danny Hurley's ever done.
No, Danny Hurley's
I don't know why this has become such a big deal to the point where he's threatening the reporter.
Well, I think he's pissed his team lost. He was in the heat of the moment after that loss. Not talking about Danny Hurley, talking about
the director of communications.
Right, and he made a bad decision on a hill he shouldn't have died on. And guess what? UConn could very well die on that hill.
Yeah, Danny Hurley being emotional is definitely not a hill you want to die on.
And here's what I can't do is all of us in our lives have had moments where we've acted like an ass.
Yeah.
And I hope that, and I know the people you guys are, that you can round back and go, my bad.
Yeah.
My bad. Danny Hurley is such an arrogant, he's such an arrogant dude. And he has treated people poorly for years.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is
isn't modern.
I don't know why this is the time you speak out. All right, give us a text message, Connor, real quick. I just want to see what the people are saying before we continue.
All right, so we have a check-in here on the offseason for the Eagles.
Okay.
And Rob in Newtown says, not happy. Can't believe the Birds moved on from Kenny Pickett. We're in trouble. Just kidding. It's a what have you done for me lately league, and we just won the Super Bowl. You have to continue to have faith in this front office, and I think they're doing a great job of keeping this championship window wide open.
Yeah, that's why I'm so surprised by the text that we got yesterday. Maybe he's the vocal minority.
He definitely is.
Well, I think that is what social media tends to be.
Yeah.
The vocal minority, and then people start to project it to being it's real.
Well, I'm trying to figure out if there's other people that are that way. Because we always try to be an open forum to both sides, right? We're not you got to be on one side conversation. We welcome the opinions of everybody.
Sure, absolutely.
I was just stunned by that opinion that I wonder if there's other people out there.
I hope they're not, because to me, then you really aren't enjoying the afterglow.
No, yeah, you're definitely not.
You're not doing well.
So coming up next, we'll reset our topics. We'll check more of your text messages. And I might need your guys' help. We talked about Taiwan Walker earlier, of just having to deal with it.
Which I hate.
I don't know if I can just deal with the outfield if it becomes a problem. Specifically one spot. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The opening day lineup is set for the Phils. I'm Connor Thomas, and with the opening day roster starting to take more shape, we got to look at what the opening day lineup is going to look like yesterday in the Phillies' final spring training game. The first four, which is where everyone's been looking: Trey Turner leading off, Harper second, Alec Bohm third, and Kyle Schwarber in the cleanup spot. So that is the lineup per Matt Gelb that the Phillies will use on opening day Thursday in Washington, facing off against the Nationals. And that's the change that we've seen, really. There hasn't been a huge splash move over the offseason for the Phils. So Corey Seidman of NBC Sports Philadelphia joined the best show ever yesterday and confirmed even though there hasn't been a lot of change in the roster, the players know the stakes.
Everybody realizes this is the last dance with this team. So I can understand why fans might feel that there hasn't been enough change, but I would just still point out that this is one of the best 3 or 5 rosters in all of baseball.
So they're still a good team. Big season. Opening day is Thursday. Sixers fell to the Pelicans 112-99 last night. They have a night off tonight. Flyers take on the Maple Leafs. Puck drop at 7 p.m. You can hear that game live here on The Fanatic. We'll talk to Jeff McLane at 8:25. Amy Fadul at the 9 o'clock hour. This update's brought to you by Corona. Don't miss the Mike Missanelli Show live from Chickies and Pete's on the Boulevard in the Northeast on March 31st for the home opener. Thanks to Corona. Join in from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. for awesome prizes, $5 Corona bottles, and $4 Modelo drafts. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Ricky Vitale.
97.5 The Fanatic. I have a question that I will need your help answering because I don't know how I will be able to handle it. And it's my concern about center field. We'll get to that coming up in a little bit. I do want to check our text line on our topics today. It started off with John pleading to the Philadelphia Phillies fans.
Was it pleading or
Not
was it
pleading? Maybe I should say
cajoling?
pleading.
Like, come on. Like, everybody, don't be on his back.
To show respect to Alec Bohm.
Yeah, like, show him a little support. I mean, show some support. You blatantly gave support to a $300 million guy who had done nothing for you. So please give it to somebody who's a homegrown and just don't be out to do it. Like I was telling Haley earlier, just don't go with the agenda to ride his backside if things go poorly.
That's what people do with Connor's boy, Aaron Nola. It's, Nola has a good start. It's like, well, he should. He's getting paid.
Exactly.
Second, he has a bad start. Second, the fourth inning happens. It's, typical Nola. There's a guy that has a jersey that says bleep Nola on the back of it. You remember? It was at Citizens Bank Park last year. Like, that's a horrible thing to do, by the way.
And it's something that I'll never understand.
Yeah, that's messed up, man.
Especially when you look back at what he's done in his career.
He's going to go down as one of the most successful pitchers in Phillies franchise history. Now, longevity is a big part of it because Phillies just
correct
had a lot of issues with pitching over the years. But, it is what it is. He will be in the record books for a lot of statistics when it comes to the Phillies. And I had a theory based off, and John kind of reminded me of it with the Alec Bohm thing because it made me think about the Trey Turner moment.
Yes.
And when the standing ovation happened for Trey Turner, it ended up being beautiful, right? And I think there were a lot of people that were looking around and saw the coverage that it got because it did get coverage.
Got a ton of coverage.
And they liked that it was positive coverage.
Okay.
And I think people said, wow, this is nice when people say nice things about us.
Okay.
So I had a new theory because then we go to New Orleans, John and I do, and everybody in New Orleans that was not an Eagles or Chiefs fans, there's people that just live there. There's people that were there on vacation. There's people that just wanted the Super Bowl experience. The Super Bowl is not just about the two teams that are playing. It's a big event. It's a corporate event. It's a bucket list item for a lot of people. They'll go and support their Raiders T-shirt, even though it's Eagles Chiefs.
What, Raider Frank was there?
Yes.
I don't know if he was.
Everybody that was down there that was not a Chiefs fan was rooting for the Eagles.
And it really was. We're not, and anybody who went on the trip could tell you.
Yeah.
That is.
And we loved it. John and I felt warm and fuzzy.
Yes.
Like, oh my God, people love us. People support us. And remember, in the same week of coverage of the Super Bowl, Eagles fans on social media got so pissed off anytime, to your point, somebody picked the Chiefs over the Eagles.
Look who picked on Get Up. Somebody didn't believe in us. They're picking against us, and they're screenshotting it and everything. I'm like, who cares? Who cares who picked you? I don't get it. Who cares?
Which is why my new theory is that Philadelphia fans want to be loved. And I want to hear from people on this.
So this is your generation that has changed this. Are you putting this?
Yes, I
on
do.
You guys?
I do think because in when I saw that video from the vet, and I went to the vet in its later years. I saw that video of the vet. Where
what do you remember of the vet? Seriously, do you remember it? What are your memories?
I
of
remember it being gigantic.
It was.
I just remember the gigantic circle. I remember the ramps.
The ramps, yes. The ramps up and down.
It was all just concrete.
Yeah, my dad and I did the 17 game plan the final year of the vet. So I was there a handful of times that season. And I remember the scoreboard where the pixelated scoreboard with the big clapping hands.
Oh yes.
I still remember all that kind of stuff.
Now
right?
betting for the Phillies.
Yeah, exactly. I remember
second baseman Mickey Morandini.
I remember the big circles with the team logos along the outfield, the green.
Remember Phil and Phyllis?
Yes.
Okay.
They're at Storybook Land now.
And they're at
I got a
Storybook
picture
Land,
of Cooper in front of them this year. As you're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPN, HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group Station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. I saw that video of the vet, and the fans wanted to be nasty. We don't want to do that anymore.
No, they did. They absolutely wanted to.
They wanted to be known as the the nasty bunch. Like, you don't want to come here. We hate you.
Yes.
Now it's like, man, when I talk to somebody, when somebody comes here, or when we go on a Philly sports trip to a different town,
Sure.
I almost make the point to like kind of be over nice to the opposing city that is hosting us because they are welcoming us.
Because you want them to feel like we're not jagoffs.
Yeah, thanks for
let's be
hosting us. And how many times have you, John, have you, Connor, had the conversation with somebody that's not from Philadelphia and goes, "Oh man, you're really nice. I thought all Philadelphians were ass faces."
There was a lot of that down in New Orleans.
Yes.
There was a lot. All I could think of is, and I feel
Best
terrible.
tippers. There was a video of the best tippers were the Eagles fans and the Chiefs fans were given nothing.
And my cigar guy, the guy that I got went into the cigar shop and I had to talk to him. He goes, "I'm a New Yorker." He goes, "But you Eagles fans?" He goes, "It's bad press."
Yeah.
And he goes, "It's bad press." He goes, "You guys are." He goes, "It's been great. The Eagles fans are great."
And I think we want that.
Well,
we want more of that recognition.
We do, but also this goes back to my original point of the era that we're in. Like, let's just look at the Eagles right now. If we were watching the 1980s, 1990s Eagles, we would hate everybody too. Like, it's different when your team's getting your teeth kicked in versus when you're at the top of the. It's much easier to be nice to everybody when your team kicks the crap out of
Or
them.
you're at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, like here's the thing. If Dallas was the Eagles and we were to go there or they were to come here, and I know Cowboys fans are different or whatever, but let's talk about the Giants. They stink. We would have a much different relationship with Giants fans we know in our life if they were where the Eagles are right now. We're the top dog, so it's much easier to have grace from the top.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that thought process. I can tell you that there's a popular steakhouse in Tampa, Burns Steakhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to when you see the date of the Eagles game, make a reservation at Burns, one of the best restaurants in the country. And Doc used to work there. And every time we'll visit on some sort of Philly event, they always say, the Eagle fans are great.
Yeah.
Because they're great. They come in here and they spend money.
And
they tip and they're
But here's
great.
the thing, we know that, right? Like, look, there are asses in this city. Every city has a group of fans that are horrible human beings. And this stems from more so than just sports, right? Like,
Sure.
every city has that. Every fan base has that. But here's the deal. We know that ultimately we are a good fan base, a passionate fan base, and if you do us right, we'll put our arms around you and you'll become part of the family. We know that about ourselves. People on the outside don't know that. And I think there's that level of frustration that people don't realize it. And that's why my theory is it's not no one likes us, we don't care. It's love us.
Real Mama Ibu agrees with you, by the way.
Damn right.
I was responding to her on Twitter, and she's
two smart
gotten
people.
involved in the conversation. And she said, we definitely should care a lot less.
Yeah.
I do think it stems from frustration with things the media outside of Philly says. I think we'd be less bothered if outsiders could just admit they were wrong about our sports team.
Which they're never going to do.
And I said, that's why no one likes us. We don't care is such a lie. And she goes, it is.
Yeah.
She goes, I don't even mind our passion that we do care, but we need to stop lying.
Yeah, I mean, didn't Chase Daniel, like a week after the Super Bowl, go back to hating Jalen Hurts? Like, it was really quick afterward. Like,
I'm so tired of him.
But that's the thing.
I'm
It's
so
not
tired of
it's
him.
not going to change.
Right.
All right, I have a question for you guys. I might need your help this season. You know how I feel about the center field situation with Marsh and Rojas. The same way I felt last year. I didn't like it, and they once again did not, in my opinion, improve on the position. So, like Taijuan Walker, we're just going to have to deal with it until Ranger's back or until Andrew Painter's up. Do I just have to deal with center field until the trade deadline? Because I don't know if you can guarantee me that they will make a move for a center fielder. It was very evident that they needed a center fielder last year, and they didn't get one. And there were center fielders out there. They didn't get one. Am I supposed to just deal with it, Connor?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what's the alternative?
Addressing a situation?
No, where we're at right now. You can say whatever you want about the offseason. As we sit 2 days from opening day, Brandon Marsh is your guy, and Yohan Rojas is depth. And that's how it's going to be for a large part of the year, if not all of the year. You just have to live with it.
I hope it's not all the year.
See, that's what sucks, though.
Unless he's playing well. If Brandon Marsh is playing well, then go for it, man. He's never had his opportunity to be the everyday center fielder.
Captain Itchy Triggerfinger, who thought 14 games for Trey Turner at leadoff was a good enough evaluation process when we all know that wasn't the case. That wasn't what it was about. Schwarber wanted the bad leadoff. It's the idea that you're supposed to have this great patience that lasts over 4 seasons for Brandon Marsh.
Well,
and it's because of the fact that they traded away, arguably, the catcher of the future, the guy who could have been your catcher after JT. You traded him for Brandon Marsh, and you're trying to make that trade look good.
I guess, but I don't know that's a fair comparison that you've had to have patience with Brandon Marsh because he hasn't given them this opportunity. He's had no patience with Brandon Marsh. They haven't let him face lefties. So he's now all of a sudden giving him patience and saying we're going to allow him to play, but this is new from Rob Thompson. This is not business as usual with center field. Right? If it was, it would be platoon. It's not. So, and here's the thing. It's not the outfield that's the problem. The Philadelphia Phillies have a league average to maybe even league above average outfield. The problem is they're not on the level of the rest of the roster that looks like they're elite. So you need the players that are supposed to be your best players to make up for the fact that your outfield isn't plus.
I will say this, and I'll give this to you coming up next before today's headlines. I don't know if you can say that they have a league above average outfield.
You can't.
Unless your eye test tells you. Statistically, you would be incorrect in saying that. And I'll give you those numbers coming up next. We have today's headlines. And I have like a in-passing question for you because I imagine this will not be in headlines. So I may have an addition post-replay coming up next. It is Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Tyrone Johnson.
They're in the Sixers territory.
Phillies have an above-average outfield.
I said league average to league above average.
All right. Well, here, we're going to stretch. What's your definition of league average?
I'm looking at the players, and if I can project them to be in baseball 15 or higher compared to their peers.
With this payroll, that's absolutely underachieving.
So
that's not what I'm saying. Saying,
but I mean, then that's bad. You don't want to be average.
Well, I got you. That's my point.
So
you want to win a World Series.
Last year, despite them winning 95 games, right? They won 95 games. The outfield collectively, and there were a lot of guys that played out there last year because they tried to tell you that David Dahl was a good option and Christian Pache and Austin Hayes was the big acquisition they got at the trade deadline. The Phillies outfield as a whole last season had a WAR, even though I'm not the biggest proponent of WAR.
And Major League executives aren't either.
Yeah. They had a WAR of minus 1.1, which was 18th in baseball. So just below your league average.
For a 95-win team. That's atrocious.
Yeah, the outfield was the weak spot on last year's team for sure.
Well, 2/3 of the outfield. Left field and center field was a mess last year. Now, you hope that you shirt up left field with Kepler. You're
hoping, yes.
All right, we'll see. It's a kind of like a flyer year for Kepler. My biggest thing that I'm going to have to try to work myself through is center field because I'm not expecting big things out of there. And I want more.
I think that's very fair.
I'm a greedy son of a bitch.
Yeah, but here's the thing with this. Here's what you got to come to terms with. How many teams of baseball, not named the Los Angeles Dodgers, do not have a position or multiple positions where they look at where they say, yeah, that's going to be an issue.
Right.
Like every team has that spot. The Phillies have a lot of great spots that other teams don't have. You're not just going to have a perfect roster. So,
but the thing is, though, when I ask you, is third base a problem?
No.
Okay.
I don't think,
I think a lot of Phillies fans
a problem.
It isn't defensively. Offensively, people will say, "Oh my gosh, I'm worried about Bohm because he turned into a pumpkin." That carriage, Cinderella's carriage, turned into a pumpkin after once the calendar hit August 1st.
Well, you should be worried about it for the postseason, but the past 2 years, he's been pretty consistently high-level production.
I don't consider it as. I'm just asking is what other people would think of it.
Right. I'm sure there are people that are, it goes back to coming into the season supporting Alec Bohm. I'm sure there's a lot of people that already kind of have the verdict on him. All right, it's time now for today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Presented by?
Brought to us by our friends over at Lundy Law. For over 70 years, Lundy Law has been fighting for injured people. If you need them, remember the name, Lundy Law. Your injury lawyers, visit LundyLaw.com. That's LundyLaw.com.
What do we got?
Well, speaking of injuries, we have injuries that we need to discuss. Now, the Phillies, this is a bad vibes situation right here. It's not a big deal. It has nothing to do with like the overall outcome of the season, but to me, this is the thing that maybe has made me most nervous because these type of things don't happen in good seasons. So Matt Strahm, if you have not seen it, he had the shoulder impingement that was potentially putting his status up in the air for opening day. He should be good to go for opening day. But he had another issue that caused him to miss an opportunity to throw yesterday in their final spring training game, which was he hurt his fingernail packing his stuff from spring training.
Oh, no, not just his stuff. It was his daughter's toys.
Yes. So
on
Matt
a cardboard box.
Yep. Now, we've had fingernail issues before with the Phillies. Zach Wheeler on his pants, if you remember that one from years ago. So it can work out for the positive, but that's just one of those bad vibe injuries where you're just like, how does it happen?
Yeah, he'll be fine.
You calling that an injury?
Well, no, but
I mean, seriously. Like, professional athletes are going around there. They're going,
The worst one, the worst of bad vibe injuries was David Robertson celebrating Bryce Harper's home run and tweaking his leg. That was a bad vibe.
Definitely was.
For things to come.
So, just one of those.
Not the toughest sport.
No.
Not the play-through toughest sport.
Certainly not. So hopefully Matt Strahm can get over that fingernail and be totally fine for opening day. It sounds like he's going to.
Fingernail.
It's just one of those things. You know how that goes with organizations, though. And I'm not going to say a specific organization, but some organizations in sports just have these weird injury things pop up every once in a while that makes you kind of weary about them.
Look, it's a process, Connor. It's a process.
Now, speaking of injuries, this is more on the illness side. A wild story from the Dodgers. I don't know if you guys have kept up with what's going on with Mookie Betts right now.
Yes.
But his opening day status is in question in a wild situation. Apparently, he has some mystery illness that has caused him to lose 23 pounds in 2 weeks. And he's down to 157 pounds.
Now, some are speculating, too, that he was, could it have been on their trip? But it started before
before the trip.
It started before the trip and then worsened on the trip.
Yeah, he first noticed the symptoms back on March 11th.
I'm scared of I got to tell you, when I hear the story, I'm scared of the rapid weight loss like that.
Yeah, it's a terrifying situation.
For a really strong athlete.
Yeah.
That's a weird situation.
Yeah, he's lost almost 30 pounds, and he's still not eating very well. And Betts said, one of the quotes the other day on Sunday said, quote, "It's hard to fathom not eating and going to play a game, so it looks like I'm just going to be light for a little bit. Maybe I play uphill a little bit for the beginning of the season, but no, I just want to play. I'm tired of sitting, tired of throwing up, tired of doing all this. I really just want to play." It's been 2 weeks.
It's bad.
And he's been dealing with stomach issues.
And I'm not saying anything, but they play. There is the injured list is a potential, too.
Yeah.
That they would give him the time to amp up the eating, amp up everything, which would take him out of the Phillies series. I'm not rooting for that.
No, of course not.
But, I hope he's well.
By the way, he's undergone blood work and everything came back clean. So,
just a crazy stomach bug maybe or something. I don't know.
I will tell you, my blood work was clean when I had cancer.
Okay.
I'm not saying he has cancer.
Yeah. Right.
But I'm saying to you is my blood work came back clean and we were like, well, it's not, something's wrong.
Right.
Blood work looks great. It's not always the case.
We're all wishing for the best for Mookie Betts, wishing health.
I love watching him play.
Now we can all check off a nice thing said about the Dodgers for the season, so we can root against the baseball team. But we hope Mookie Betts is healthy. All right, boys.
All right, good job.
Man, that's a strange story.
It's wild.
Real quick, your boy, Connor.
What?
He'll always be your boy.
Who?
Because you wish you were him. Cam McCormick was the tight end at Miami, ninth year senior.
Is he coming back for a 10th?
No, he's done.
He's done now, yes.
But he had his pro day yesterday.
What? He had what?
I love that. Go for it, Cam.
Oh, man, if you weren't drafted...
Wait a minute. He had his pro day or Miami had their pro day and he was there?
Miami had their pro day and he was there.
So they were not kind enough to say, come on, Scribini, come on over. Hang out with us.
If I'm Cam McCormick, I ain't doing no pro day.
He's a late bloomer.
You weren't drafted after your sophomore year or your junior year. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
You have to declare for the
8.
draft, though. You have to declare for the draft.
Okay.
No, he knew from agents that he wasn't going to be drafted.
Yeah.
Come on, give it up.
Get off campus. Starting to get a little creepy.
Go be a gym teacher. Go to Wall Street. Whatever you want to do.
Now starting at tight end, Van Wilder.
Yeah. Coming up next, Jeff McLane from the Inquirer joins us to talk more about the Birds here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Getting closer to opening day. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies have moved another day closer to their season opener in Washington this Thursday. And with that comes more news about the opening day roster. We found out yesterday that Cody Clemens will be the final player to round out the position players group. Still a couple things to work out with the pitching staff. The expectation is Ranger Suarez is going to start the season on the injured list, which opens the door for Taijuan Walker to start. So something we'll have to get used to for Phillies fans. But even with some changes to the roster that were minimal, the stakes remain the same. And Corey Seidman of NBC Sports Philadelphia joined the best show ever yesterday to talk about just that with the Phils.
Everybody realizes this is the last dance with this team. So I can understand why fans might feel that there hasn't been enough change, but I would just still point out that this is one of the best 3 or 5 rosters in all of baseball.
It's a big year for the Phils. We'll see how it plays out down at the bank. The Sixers fell to the Pelicans 112-99 last night. They're off tonight. Flyers take on the Maple Leafs tonight at 7 p.m. You can hear that game live here on The Fanatic. We're going to talk to Jeff McLane of the Inquirer coming up next. Amy Fadul will join us for the entire 9 o'clock hour. This update's brought to you by Bank of America. Whether you run a local shop or a global enterprise, Bank of America gives you access to business solutions.
single Tuesday, we talk to our man from the Inquirer. Experience the new look of Inquirer Sports, where fans can read, watch, and listen to their favorite reporters and columnists. Go to inquirer.com/sports, and one of our favorites is on the Comcast Business Hotline right now. Every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. Our man, Jeff McLane. Jeffrey, good morning.
Good morning, Andrew. John, how you guys doing?
We're doing great.
Good to hear from you, buddy.
Yesterday, toward the end of our show, we had a text message from one of our listeners because people can text in. They don't have to call in as much anymore, Jeff. It's great. And we had a guy that texted in and was disappointed by the Eagles' offseason, basically saying, how could this offseason be a success when you're relying on oft-injured Azeez Al-Julairi, and that's about it? I got to ask you, was there really any other plan of attack the Eagles could have had this offseason other than trying to shed salary and eventually sign players on that second wave and obviously draft players as well? Was there any other tactic for the Birds to take this year?
Well, I mean, they could have kept pushing money into future years. I guess maybe signed a few free agents, but free agency wasn't very strong, and they probably thought the market was too high for what some of these guys were worth. And look, again, when I did my Stay Go, we talked about this after I did it. They're really the only one that I haven't gotten right, and I changed it based upon my reporting was Bond versus Milton Williams. They kept Bond. They let Milton Williams walk, which became increasingly obvious, especially when you saw that he got $26 million a year. But other than that, nothing really surprised me aside from obviously the one thing, and I think this is probably the one move that probably sticks in a lot of fans' craw is the trade for the C.J. Gardner trade. For getting a guard Green from Houston, probably not even traded on paper. But other than that, I'm not really sure who fans probably expect them to bring back, and then who maybe perhaps they hoped that they would have signed.
A lot of people sweating out now as we wait towards the draft a Dallas Goedert movement. Like, in a lot of times we've seen Howie make moves like before day 3 of the draft. Seen some things on ESPN and some otherwise about whether the market is soft on him, whether he does end up staying around. What's your gut instinct today, Jeff, on the future of Dallas Goedert here?
Yeah, so I guess I reported pretty early upon that I'd heard that there was a chance that he was going to go.
Sure.
That hasn't happened yet. But my reporting kind of evolved a little bit into thinking that what I mean. Look, I see a path for him to be back here. It's just going to be kind of dependent upon what he's willing to take in terms of a restructure. Because I don't think the Eagles are going to be paying him nearly $15 million a year at this stage in his career. Now, does that mean he's back? No, I don't necessarily think so. The draft could maybe influence what the Eagles do at tight end, whether if they do get somebody high that they think is the future, then there probably wouldn't be much use for Dallas moving forward. I mean, look, I was a little shocked when I was originally told about it because I think Dallas is still a very good, productive player. Obviously, the injuries have been an issue over the last several years, but when he's out there, he's one of the better tight ends in the league, not only in terms of catching the ball, but also blocking it. So, I still feel like that's kind of a 50-50 deal. I know I've heard others say that they think that he'll be gone. I still think there's a path for him to return.
Do you believe the Eagles almost view him as expendable at this point? Or do you think he's a guy that they go, hey, we would still really like to have him on this team if we can make the money work?
No, they want all these guys, right? I mean, but look, the reality of the situation is that, the cap and what they've spent in cash over the last several years have kind of forced them into this corner. It won them a Super Bowl, right? So no regrets there from them, I'm sure. But they're paying a lot of guys in the primes of their career, as Howard Roseman has said, top dollar. And at some point, chickens are going to come home to the roost in terms of how you spend your money. Look, I get it. Like, look, I'm not sitting here defending what they're doing or anything. I don't. That's not my job. My job is to report. So I'm telling you what they're doing, and I'm telling you why they're doing it. We'll see how it plays out because they lost some very key pieces on the defensive side and on the offensive side. I guess with you're paying AJ, you're paying Devontae. Those guys didn't really see the ball a heck of a lot last year. I could see this being Howie's argument after maybe making a trade. Let's say they do trade Goddard. He'll be like, look, we have an offense that last year revolved around increasingly the run game. We extended Saquon Barkley, gave him more money. They went out and did a few more moves at the running back position, getting A.J. Dillon. They brought back a fullback for Pete's sake. You're still paying two of the top receivers in the league. They're probably thinking to themselves, maybe we need to dial back a little bit. At least if we're going to have to cut somewhere, that could be one of the spots because we have these other two guys in terms of throwing the ball.
Jeff, in retrospect, what is the thing that most surprised you about the Eagles' 2024 season? When you look back on it, that maybe you didn't see coming out of camp that ended up materializing?
I guess Zach Vaughn. This guy. When they signed him, I'm like, I don't know. I didn't even know. I don't think I heard of him, but I didn't know much about him. I didn't know what he could do. I certainly didn't. He wanted to play the edge. They came and said, he's an outside linebacker. He has played inside, but he's primarily played outside as an edge rusher. And I'd heard, talking to people that there and outside the building that he wanted to be an edge rusher because those guys get paid more than inside linebackers. And he probably thought it was better suited to his skill set. But of course, Howie had saw something, and then Vic Fangio really kind of saw it and said, this guy's better suited to play inside linebacker in my scheme. And for him to develop into one of the best inside linebackers and if, defensive player of the year, the candidate, I didn't see that coming. I don't think anybody saw that coming. So that would have to be my answer.
Jeff, before we go, I know you guys were on last week with John and Connor when I was on vacation, but last week, I think it was exactly 1 week ago today, Brandon Graham announced his retirement around noon. You had the opportunity to cover him for all 15 seasons he played for the Eagles. Just tell us a little bit about your time covering Brandon Graham and the void that he will obviously leave behind when he goes off to retirement.
Yeah, kind of like it was like maybe my second or third year in the beat when Brandon got drafted, so it was kind of early in my tenure on the beat. I watched him evolve, kind of a immature kind of kid. He's always had this gregarious personality. In my column I wrote last week, I'd gotten somebody. I said it'd be interesting to look at the scouting reports when he was originally drafted versus what he ended up ultimately being. Sometimes those are tough to get, but I was able to kind of wriggle through some of them. And Ryan Grigson, who became the Colts GM, he was one of the first guys with boots on the ground in Michigan. Had written, always a smile on his face, people pleaser, like stuff that just really panned out in terms of what we've all known about Brandon. John Spytek, who's now the Raiders GM, he was just an area scout here. He actually played at Michigan, and he had very similar takeaways when he went into Michigan and did his scouting report. And to me, that it was important because he had a couple minor strikes against him coming out, but the Eagles were able to kind of see through those slight errors in judgment at the time, and to see him for who he was and what he would ultimately become. Now, don't get me wrong. They drafted him based upon his talent, and this is the guy that really just really brought it. Was strong, really strong. Didn't have overwhelming pass rush moves, but could move very well. You could move him inside if you wanted to. Anyway, that's kind of what struck me looking back upon his career was just how Brandon was able to survive for so long because of what he brought beyond on the field. But maybe he brought that to the field because he was just such a good guy and so outgoing and so willing to do what a lot of guys aren't willing to do. There were two times when I thought he was gone. 2015, Chip Kelly brought him back to a lot of people's surprise. In 2019, he thought he was gone just because he didn't have the best year coming off the Super Bowl in 2018, and he was going to get paid because edge rushers get paid, and Howie brought him back, and now he's the longest tenured Eagle in Philadelphia, in Eagles history, and it's quite a testament to his skill and his personality. He was able to do it for so long. And then in terms of what they're going to miss, Yeah, you look. I mean, they have guys in the locker room. They're always kind of thinking that way, and I think Howie's done a much better job of late too, of just thinking that when he is drafting certain guys, that like, okay, we need these core guys at certain spots to be leaders, because when the Jason Kelce's go, and then eventually, obviously, Lane Johnson, there's Landon Dickerson, there's Jordan Mailata. Defensive side, little more difficult for them, I think, to replace Brandon that way. But look, they kind of looked into the Zach Bond thing, and I think Zach Bond, you'll see a C on his chest next year. But Brandon will be around the building, so they won't be missing him completely.
Very well said, Jeff. Listen, man, we appreciate
Thanks,
the time
Jeff.
as always. We'll talk to you again next week.
All right, guys, thanks for having me.
There's our man, Jeff McLane, on the Comcast Business Hotline. All right, coming up next, we'll continue. We'll check our text line, but I have an Eagles-related question for you guys. I think the answer is yes, but it's a Jalen Hurts discussion that I have.
Sports, the big stories you want to hear about.
For coming on to the show, Amy Fadul on this Tuesday will join us for the entire 9 o'clock hour, so she should be here momentarily.
Want to wish a happy birthday to my cousin, Chief Dan.
Oh, happy birthday.
Out of Bryn Mawr Fire Company. Chief Dan, keep rescuing people from burning buildings.
That damn right.
Making sure everybody's safe.
I respect the firemen.
Happy birthday, cuz.
3 straight days of little kids' birthday parties.
Now, does Cooper like the fire trucks?
Yeah, big fan.
Oh, you
It's his
got to bring
favorite.
them. You got to bring them by. Then Chief Dan will hook them up.
Yeah, man. The Brigantine Police Department gave him a full tour one day.
Oh my gosh, it's awesome.
He loves it. Yeah, 3 straight days of kids' birthday party. I'm out. I'm done.
Well, I can't believe
birthday
a birthday party on a Monday. We found something embarrassing about Connor early before the show.
You're on the wrong side of this one.
No,
So it was at like a trampoline.
Not if people are still watching To Catch a Predator.
By the way, it was awesome yesterday. The trampoline. These things are
The
ridiculous.
trampoline place.
It's like the
where-
whole floor.
and there's foam, and you jump and you walk
dude,
the
Coop
beams.
had a blast.
It's
man.
awesome, and I bet he slept well last night.
Yes, he did. We found out that Connor was perusing around these as a 16-year-old.
Yeah,
Connor
when I
was a 16-year-old going to the jumpy place.
Yeah, like a sophomore, junior in high school, I was there was one that opened up down the street from my house. It was like legitimately a 1-minute drive. We used to go there all the time. They used to play dodgeball on the trampolines and everything. It was a fun place.
Was that like an adult swim time?
I mean,
Did they make the kids stay away?
Did the little kids at their birthday party go, "Mommy, the kid trying to grow the mustache is jumping on the trampoline"?
I was 16, guys.
So it's not a 16-year-old place.
Yes, it absolutely
No, they
is.
are not.
Trampoline
How much
parks.
bigger are you right now than when you were 16?
I'm
You
about
probably grew another inch.
No, I grew pretty early, so I was about this height when I was.
Okay, yeah.
Chris Hansen from Dateline NBC was actually tracking you in the parking lot.
I was 16.
All right, I have a question about
God forbid I enjoy a trampoline park.
Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. This is going to be something that we are going to track as the season goes on. I believe that 2025 may have to be the year of Jalen offensively. We've talked about the concerns of a fall off for a running back following the kind of production that Saquon Barkley had last season. So he might not be we might not be turning to Saquon as much this year.
I would think it would be something that, and I've already told you, I'm saving it for another time.
Yeah.
But there's reason to.
Yeah.
You better have that plan.
Because you're going to want to have him prepared also for the playoffs and healthy come playoff time. So you're going to have to rely on Jalen a little bit more this year. And if Goddard is gone, that's one of your security blankets that's gone. And you still got AJ, you still have Devontae Smith. The offensive line is still there. Is this going to be a year where it has to be Jalen Hurts' show? Because let's face it, and this is not me trying to take anything away from Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts in the NFC Championship game in the Super Bowl was spectacular. But the 2024 season was the Saquon show.
It was.
Like all year. I don't know if they will be able to rely on the ground game as heavily this upcoming season. I got what I wanted last year, but there's also repercussions from doing what you did, and that's the following season for the running back.
And the running back, and I will just tell you, and I'll share it at a later time. We get into it deeper. The numbers are scary.
Yeah.
They're scary numbers. So you need to have a plan for that. So we'll see what happens.
Now, I'll ask you, can you still succeed the year of Jalen? I say yes at this point. I mean, he's proven everybody wrong.
Oh, no, I absolutely think they can. Absolutely.
Because remember, they changed to the run because the passing offense was struggling. Like, that was a part of the story. The passing offense, they were relying on it too much, and it was not doing well, and Jalen was making mistakes, and then they went to the run, and everything flipped. New offensive coordinator again with Kevin Patullo.
Correct.
Can they win where it's the year of Jalen? I believe so.
I think they absolutely can. But I do want there to be a big plan, because I will consider it'll be a shocker if Saquon Barkley can start 16 games next year.
You'll be surprised. I agree with you.
I'm going to be floored.
Yeah.
Now, when we look at A.J. Dillon compared to Kenny Gainwell, who's the better backup running back? And this is a fair question. I think
it's a coin flip, honestly. I think it's a coin flip.
Pedigree-wise, it's A.J. Dillon. But
Pedigree, it's Dillon.
But Kenny Gainwell showed last year that I don't think Kenny Gainwell was – I think they thought too much of him 2 years ago. I think he was in his perfect spot last year, where some games he had 5, 6, 7 carries. Some games he had 2. He did some stuff out of the backfield.
I'm anxious to see. How about this, Connor? I believe if you had to lean on, I would feel a little better if you had to lean on A.J. Dillon for 3 games.
Yeah, I would as well.
As a feature back.
Right.
I would still want the game plan adjusted, but if you're talking about doing what they like to do in the running game as normally, like with Saquon, I definitely feel better with A.J. Dillon.
Yeah, I just don't see this team as anything but a run-first team. Even with the worries about Saquon coming off a year with a lot of usage, I mean, Hurts is still going to run. A.J. Dillon is a competent backup. Your offensive line is stacked. And on top of that, a first-time offensive coordinator, what is the safest way to approach this? Run the football. Like, I think we're going to see them still be run-first this year.
And A.J. Dillon has to stay healthy himself. He has to show he can stay healthy.
Yeah, very minimal usage for him, so hopefully that shouldn't be a problem.
Sure.
But you're not
wrong. I just worry about that neck things.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, always. All right, real quick, tomorrow's knockout. Ray Dunn has posted his knockout odds.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think I retweeted that.
Has it been confirmed that Tom Alvord is participating?
Yes.
Yeah, he'll be there.
Tom will be there.
He's your favorite at plus 120.
He should be the favorite, no question.
Somebody will lose money if they bet on Bill Colarulo.
Yes, they will. Where's Bill?
Second.
What?
At plus 150.
See, that's a shot directly at me, and I'm going to have words with Ray.
No. Ray is a good odds maker.
Ray does do well with the odds.
He put me 3rd, you 4th. The reason being, I have made it clear that I'm standing behind you. So if I can knock you out, that increases my chances. And because you have a real shooter behind you, your chances go down a little bit.
And remember,
last year you had the 4-year-old behind you.
But
no,
this
I
year,
didn't, you liar.
This year you don't have a binky.
Yeah.
There's no
mean?
binky.
There's no binky.
No, for Bill.
There's
no binky.
Yeah, so why is Bill second?
That's
I don't
what I'm
know
saying.
why Bill's second.
Bill is, you know what it is? I think Ray, who tends to scoff at many of Bill's thoughts in the course of you listen to Mike Missanelli's show, they have a great... Ray doesn't hide his disdain for either one of their takes when he hears them.
Yes.
I think this might be a little passive aggressiveness on Ray's part.
It's a makeup call.
Making the odds too high to make him look worse if he doesn't. Is this an evil scheme by Ray Dunn?
I think it's a...
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, Bill should not be the second best odds.
No, he should not be.
His wife carried him deep in the rounds last year.
Now, if it was deadlifting or something like that, you're thinking about that.
Yeah, of course.
All
right, coming up next, Amy's here. So Amy Fadul will join us.
Sunshine did come in today.
For the rest of the show, it's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phillies are finalizing their roster. I'm Connor Thomas, and with the Phillies opening day just 2 days away, the roster is taking shape. Cody Clemens was told that he is going to round out the position players group. He was announced he will make the team yesterday. So we found that out, and we're starting to get a little bit more information on the pitching staff. The bullpen, really the only questions. Ranger Suarez will start the season on the injured list. Taijuan Walker will be in his place for the time being. Corey Seidman of NBC Sports Philadelphia joined the best show ever yesterday to talk about the feeling heading into the Phillies season and how much is at stake.
Everybody realizes this is the last dance with this team. So I can understand why fans might feel there hasn't been enough change, but I would just still point out this is one of the best 3 or 5 rosters in all of baseball.
It's a huge year for the Phils and what the legacy of this core is going to have. We'll be watching on Thursday. The Sixers fell to the Pelicans 112-99 last night. They're off tonight. The Flyers take on the Maple Leafs tonight at 7 p.m. You can hear that game live here on The Fanatic. Amy Fadul will join us for the entire 9 o'clock hour coming up next. This update's brought to you by Delaware County EDSI. Don't miss the Spring Job Fair in Delaware County, Thursday, March 27th from 11 to 2 at the Springfield YMCA. More info at pacareerlinkdelco.org or on their Facebook page. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. I hope your driving to work was nice and pleasant on this
and no accidents.
Tuesday morning. Yeah, I hope not. How are the roads, Amy Fadul? Let's go to the traffic desk.
Oh, well, coming in on 76, it was all clear.
Good morning, Amy. Wow, that's a first. All clear on 76.
the traffic
That's
copter.
fantastic.
Actually, I don't know. I was on Montgomery Avenue. I have no idea.
Montgomery's good.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Better
coming
than
in.
Lancaster.
Drop Baker off early.
Montgomery's better than Lancaster. Driving Montgomery
absolutely.
Avenue, much better than
Absolutely.
Lancaster.
Absolutely.
Well, welcome in.
Hey,
Thank you for joining us.
of course.
We
Happy to be here. It's
appreciate it.
Tuesday.
So we've been talking about
Knockout, obviously.
Yeah, obviously knockout, and the odds where Bill Colarulo should not be the second highest, but that's a conversation for another day. We're trying to get into the psyche of the Philadelphia sports fan. We're trying to tap in. I think I have a new theory.
Yeah, you
like
got to
it.
hear this one.
I want to hear it.
So when Johnny and I were in New Orleans, we loved that people were rooting for the Eagles. Like non-Eagles fans,
Right.
non-Chiefs fans. If you were down there just because you lived there or you were there for the experience or you just so happened to make your week's vacation on Bourbon Street the week of the Super Bowl, horrible planning by you. Bachelorette parties,
Yeah.
bachelor parties, you name it. But a lot of people were like, man, we're really tired of this Chiefs thing. We really like the Eagles. We really like Saquon. We really like Jalen Hurts. He's so handsome, right? Like all these kind of things.
Yeah.
We loved the fact that people were pulling for the birds. When I was in Clearwater, I talked to my uncle, who's in his 80s, and he was at his little community, the bar inside the gated
At
community.
Del
that he
Boca
lives.
Vista.
And everybody that was there was pulling for the birds. He's in a melting pot, right? He's in Florida, a lot of retirement. And people were pulling for the birds, and he liked that. I'm realizing the whole no one likes us, we don't care is a bunch of bull.
Yeah. It always has been.
But we want to be loved.
Of course.
It's not just like, hey, show us some respect. It's like, no, please love us.
Yeah, the no one likes us, we don't care. Obviously, we do care. Otherwise, we wouldn't be saying it. No one likes it. That's
Too
like
much.
I didn't break up with you. You broke up with me. No, it's a he said, she said.
Right.
Okay. It's whoever wants to say it did it. That's fine. Whatever you want to choose. But yeah, the whole no one likes us, we don't care. Yeah, we want you to like us. We want you to like us a little bit.
We found it.
That's
honestly,
okay.
And it was weird because when I heard him say the idea is that we want to be loved.
Yeah.
We desire to be loved. And I went, immediately, my mechanism went scoff at him. And then he goes.
Then you thought about it.
And then he goes, remember when we were in New Orleans, John?
Yeah.
How much you like that?
Every waitress.
It felt good.
Every waitress, every bartender, every shop owner that was like, you guys, hey, go
Hey,
Birds. That's
yeah.
great. We're with you.
Yeah.
Every one of them, I'm trying to like engage and be like,
Like,
it's
just
it.
see
And he
how many
said-
more you can get.
He said you loved it too because I would comment every time going, they're all rooting for
They're
us.
all with us.
They're with us.
They're with us. You're with us until you're not, and then we're out on you.
And
Obviously.
then we get,
And then
but
we're
then we
out
get
on
upset.
you.
Then we get upset
And
when
then
they're
we're
not
like,
with us anymore.
Yeah,
And
what happened?
Like,
what did we do?
I don't need everybody in the world supporting us, but like I get it. I felt warm and fuzzy when people were cheering for us and wanted us to win, and when they were happy for us for finally getting the Super Bowl back in Super Bowl 52. Even though there were a lot of people that the no rings jokes went out the window and they were kind of disappointed by it, but like I like feeling loved.
Yeah,
It's
I
nice.
think it's one of those things where you like it until you obviously you don't like it because you don't want everybody on your bandwagon. You just
Right.
want enough people so you can buoy yourself like, oh, this feels really good. I mean, let's face it. Over the last probably couple years, people have been much more on board with the Eagles as far as America's team, a team that they want.
Right.
They like Nick Sirianni as an everyman, right? I have friends from all over. They're like, that coach just seems like a dude you would just see at a bar. I'm like, absolutely you would, because that's happened. And they like that. They like that he is approachable. They think that the Eagles are an approachable team. I think that's how it's palatable. They don't shove it down your throat. They don't have these guys that are all over these commercials and you see all the time, nationally. So I think that's why for the everyday people out in New Orleans or Ohio or wherever,
Yeah.
if they don't root for their team, they're like, who would be fun? The Eagles. For us, we're like, wait, what?
What?
Why?
We're not used to it.
That's great,
Yeah, right.
but
That's good.
why?
We're not used to it.
What's happening? So then you start looking over your shoulder like, what is it?
I've already been I said, just talking to some broadcasters saying there's going to be knife fights for the networks over getting this Eagles team.
Oh, I'm sure.
They're going to max out their prime time or
We're gonna have a lot.
center
We're
stage
gonna have a lot
punishment.
of late nights.
And I was also told, ho, 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 could
Yeah, I
very
mean-
much be in play. Christmas Day could be in play. Thanksgiving, Black Friday, or Thanksgiving night could be in play.
Yeah, I did hear
networks
the
are going to want them.
Thanksgiving. Yeah,
they're going to want
I think
them.
that I have to look it up. There's only you're allowed X amount. You can't.
Is it 7?
I was going to say 8.
Okay, it's
in that range.
You would know better.
It's in that range. It could be more. Obviously, as a Super Bowl winner, you're going to get that your primetime treatment anyway. But the fact that you're in a major market and you're with a team that people genuinely like across the nation, it's a palatable team. It is not New York. There's no divisive player on this team that you think, oh, that guy is one way or the other,
right.
Whatever it is. I think that really adds to it. You mentioned Saquon Barkley. Is there a more likable player in the country right now?
No.
He is exceptionally likable.
They said most sought-out Madison Avenue player this offseason.
And here's a guy that was
Saquon.
trying to do local commercials because he's just, he's a running back. They're not paid as they used to be. He's thinking I don't know if I'm going to get that big contract. We got the big contract. Now he's getting all the ads.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
And that's great.
Yeah, they loved him with his family. I mean, it's great stuff.
Yeah, it's great. You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN, WPEN, HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group Station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. The other conversation we had this morning, Johnny has a task for Phillies fans to start the season. Johnny, can you tell Amy what that task is?
I don't want to tell Amy what to do. She could slug me. But I am suggesting to people
I'd take her in the fight.
That the way everyone showed grace when Trey Turner was struggling. And I'm not talking about some contrived standing ovation, but just the way that we wanted to show him grace, we realized we need him. That I would hope at the beginning of this year, people are not waiting to jump on Alec Bohm and ride him into the ground because we need him because this team can't win without him. So could you just hold off? Now, if we're talking about he starts pouting, he starts being a problem.
Right.
I have a totally different attitude.
Yeah.
But if he does show up with a chance to be a changed man and he's performing, can we show him a little grace?
Yeah, it's a two-way street. The first thing that came to my mind was well, as long as he's okay with it. You know what I mean? And
you're right.
I would think that he would have learned a little bit from that. I think, stepping back away from the game, maybe thinking about, all right, that wasn't appropriate. His teammates talked to him in the heat of the moment. We saw all that. These guys talking to him. He wasn't listening. Listen, emotions run high. He was struggling. This guy was the RBI machine for them, and then the wheels fell off, and it was jarring. And to your point, John, they absolutely have to have that again. You have to have that, and it has to be all the way throughout the season, obviously, if they want to win. But, yeah, I think patience is the key, and you're going to hear that a lot with this team. You're going to need patience. Pitching is going to be good. Bullpen is going to be good. Hitting should be good, too. I think patience with the lineup, patience with how the lineup is constructed. I think you're going to see some, because that's something we're still. If I hear Rob Thompson one more time talk, it could be a fourth, he could be for. Just tell us. Why don't you just tell us what movie you want to see? So I feel like patience is the key, but it's going to be limited. I think you get April, and that's it.
Speaking of lineup and patience, we'll get into the opening day lineup that seemed to be announced yesterday and some questions of patience that we've been discussing on the show. But I do want to get back to our text line. It's been a while since we checked the text messages. What do we have this morning, Connor?
So I got to scroll through the numerous people telling me it's totally normal for a 16-year-old to go to a trampoline park.
I'm sure it is. Believe me, the police would like to track all those numbers.
16,
just so
John,
they know to keep them away from the playgrounds.
This texter checks in and says, I don't think it's the fans when we talk about our wanting to be loved conversation. I don't think it's the fans wanting to be loved. I truly believe that the majority of the fan base doesn't care about that. It's that we want our players paid the respect they earned, and we will fight for that until they get it.
No, but it's not just the second you hear somebody say something bad about Philadelphia fans, we're ready to fight. So, don't get me. This is just
you can hate.
It's just the players.
Yeah. No. It's we want to be liked until we don't want to be liked. It's like a cat. You can pet the cat, but when the cat's done with you petting him, know.
That's
the cat
very
lets
fair.
you know.
When Mayor Parker gave her estimate for the amount of Eagles fans that were going to be at the parade, I got angry. I was like, "That's too low. That's too low. It's going to be higher. How dare you, Madam Mayor?"
It's also
By the way, she was right.
When she misspelled the word, we thought it was funny, but if someone else said something about her, we're like, no.
No, yeah, exactly.
No,
that's our mayor.
That's our mayor.
Right, back off.
Hey, it's a joke. It's funny.
You worry about yours.
It's our joke.
All right, you worry about your mayor over there.
All right.
By the way, I have seen now 3 different people out in public
with the shirt
with the misspelled Eagles shirt,
yeah.
which I think is now very funny. I would not want one. but I think they're very
You'd
funny.
have to explain it every time. And
Yeah,
in like
exactly.
10 years.
That's what I don't want.
In 10 years, it'll be tougher to explain.
it's in 10
there was a
years.
joke.
But it's a good boardwalk shirt this year.
Absolutely.
That's
It's
going to
gonna
be all over the Jersey Shore.
Saquon backwards jumping, that's all over the
got
boardwalk.
one of those. Yeah,
But-
I
absolutely.
don't.
By the way, Connor, on your jumpy places, I just pulled up on jumpy places near us and looked at every website, 5 of them. There is not one kid over the age of 10 in any of their own marketing as far as like showing you videos of what the kids are doing. Now, the American Ninja places are different. But the jumpy places,
I can see Connor being a Ninja Warrior
it's like
guy.
it's a perfect place for your kiddie birthday party.
Yeah, you look at their jumpyplaces.com.
Yeah,
That's where
no,
you look at-
absolutely.
yeah,
That's
what it
definitely
is.
the
That's
one.
the
That's
website.
your-
That's the
that's
one
the
that
site.
you went to.
Google
Jumpy
them.
places.
It's called
Jumpy
Stratosphere
places.
Trampoline Park, dude. Come on. 16-year-olds are allowed there.
Yeah, I'm
they
sure.
might be allowed. Coming up next, we'll ask Amy about some of the conversations we had about dealing with future complaints, knowing that they will happen. One, the current fifth man in the rotation. The other, center field. We discussed that as a group next. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Tyrone Johnson, Ricky Vitalico, and Silvana Kelleher. The best show ever. Smart, intelligent conversation you need to hear.
gods have just caused an uproar.
It's quite the
Well,
talk.
that's
in the
Ray.
hallways.
Isn't that Ray's? I mean, like
a pot stir.
Isn't that his persona? I mean, he's the guy who's always causing conflict, and
Bill agrees.
in fact, it's the opposite of Ray.
That's what I was saying. There's no way.
Bill agrees with my theory
What?
that he's doing this to try to make Bill look bad by
Wait a minute,
giving
that
him
was
the
my theory.
We agreed.
I floated that.
You
plan.
floated it. I don't even
said,
remember.
come on, Ray's up to it. Ray's up to no good, and he's probably doing it though. Knowing Ray Dunn, he's doing it for quality content.
Ray's shaking his head.
The quality
saying,
of the
not
show.
me. Yeah,
No,
sure.
He's like Ray is like the
Vinny Vegas over there setting the
Ray's,
legit odds.
Ray's like the kid carrying the boombox. You know,
Aura from McNeese State.
He's now Ray finds a way to be the one that's really behind the scenes. He's Kaiser Sose.
He's doing. Look, he's doing
Around this place.
He's doing a good job.
He does a good job.
All right, Amy.
Yes, sir.
We'll start with one Taijuan Walker. I know that we will all, in the near future, complain about Taijuan Walker and his spring training ERA of 7. Connor, remember when you told us that sometimes we just need to take like Rob Thompson's word, like the whole Alec Bohm came into
sometimes
better. Yeah, I was told that Taijuan Walker's velocity's up and he looks stronger. And
He looked
better.
good in the early spring.
Better than
the problem
ever.
is the spring is longer than 2 starts.
Yeah, exactly. And the last couple starts have gone. And he will, unfortunately, because of Ranger Suarez's injury and Andrew Painter's not ready yet to come up to the big leagues, he will be your 5th starter. They will probably try to work around pitching him
correct
as much as they can, but they're going to need him sometimes. And it's not going to go well. Like, spoiler, guys, maybe this is the day where he has the good start. Like, no, he's cooked. He's throwing a flat 92-mile-an-hour fastball that major leaguers and the triple and double A kids that were playing
Guys
yesterday.
are not even going to make up.
Yeah,
Major League rosters.
they could take care of business. How do we handle the future Taijuan Walker starts?
We just ignore them. We try to pretend that they're not happening. We go in straight denial mode. We look over there and think, if you squint real hard, maybe it's somebody else. You can't put a lot of stock into it. You can just close your eyes and hope it's going to be over soon.
Are you disappointed?
It's like a roller coaster.
Are you disappointed they haven't written the check?
Just get rid of him.
Just to
I
get
mean,
rid-
because I think it's ridiculous that.
I mean, you needed the body, it turns out. So, I mean, what were you going to do?
No, you could have had another body in here. You could have had a young body in here. There are other teams in Major League Baseball that
Just
don't
like
believe in
cut bait.
catering to, the age thing. The Phillies are young. Like
Yeah.
they don't want anybody young around the big league club. They're very protective.
Like they got arms that are down there. Like I know who's one of the is it McGarry who's not been too good.
Griff
McGarry's
McGarry?
not been good.
Yeah.
No, he
Abel's
hasn't.
kind of middle
But,
of
like,
the pack.
Griff McGarry hasn't been anything worse though than
that's
what
what
you're
I'm saying.
getting.
Yeah.
Like just give him the shot.
Give him a chance.
Because here's the deal: it either blows up, and you know what? He's living in your farm system for his whole career anyway, or you give him a shot at the big league level, and maybe puts together 2 good starts, and that's all I need. Tyler Stevenson last year gave
Exactly.
you like
That's all
2
you
or 3
needed.
starts. That's all I needed
Yeah,
in
that's all
that
you need.
time.
Tyler
Yeah.
Phillips.
Tyler Phillips.
Sorry, thank you.
I
Tyler Phillips.
think you give 1 to Taijuan Walker. It's almost like you're proving your theory right. Remember how you work in school? You'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
this is my theory. Now I have to prove it right. Okay, so the theory is that Taijuan Walker is not going to be very good. Let's give him a start. Hey, my theory's proven. Then we move on.
Yeah.
You get one. You get one.
And then you
So
give
it's a
some of
very
these other
short-
kids opportunities. And what? Are
grin
you
and bear
worried
it.
about Taijuan Walker's options?
No.
If you
No.
got to cut bait, you cut bait.
You cut bait.
And oh, by the way, I don't know how many teams, if he does go to waivers, are going to be clamoring to pick him up.
Maybe as a back half of a bull. I don't even know where he goes.
No, he doesn't like the bullpen.
Oh, I don't care what he likes.
He has been honest.
Does he like to get paid?
He's getting paid regardless.
Yes, he's
True.
getting paid regardless.
Then he'll just
other-
like hang out.
The other area, and this is more of a me thing. How do I, and this is going to be longer. This is not a couple starts. I don't really think that highly of Brandon Marsh or Johan Rojas, and those are my center fielders until they acquire somebody, or as Connor said, maybe they go the entire season. And I'm not expecting much. And I'm expecting more disappointment than anything else. How do I handle it? How does anybody handle that?
Drinking. Yeah, you just, I think that's one of those, you hope for the best. Listen, that is such and I do think that you're going to see them a lot longer than maybe just, you could see in the whole year, depending on what's out there.
Yeah.
Just because there's not a whole lot out there. You wanted more pop in your outfield. I don't know that you solved that, right? That was a real problem. That was a problem last year.
Kepler, but left-handed bat.
Exactly. All right.
Another one.
So, but how much pop? You needed actual, consistent pop. But yeah, Kepler answered it in one aspect. But Brandon Marsh and Johan Rojas, together, they should form the perfect player. One should be good at defense. One should be good at offense. The problem is they're both good at defense. Neither is good at the offense. And one doesn't even know how to bunt properly. So I think that going forward, you can't have that big of a hole. I think that that's a bigger grin and bear it. I think that you have to solve that problem quickly. You cannot go the whole season with both of those guys being the same player.
I just wonder,
which is not offensive.
I just wonder, with you're saying that you can't go the whole season, you got to figure these things out. What is the patience going to be for the leadoff position? What's the patience going to be that they're going to, because last time we saw, Rob Thompson had no patience. None at all. That with letting Trey Turner have a chance to get seated here. And now they are saying they are going to go back and forth. I don't like that. I don't know what you think about it.
I don't know that the players like that. I think the one thing that we've seen with Rob Thompson, so that was surprising when he said we're going to go back and forth, is the guys know their roles here. And I think that's really important. I think you feel confident in your role. You don't always look over your shoulder and you're thinking, all right, if I'm the setup man, I'm the setup man. If I'm the leadoff guy, whatever my role is. If I'm the pitcher in this scenario, I know that. I know that going into the game. I know this is what I'm going to be called upon. If I'm the leadoff man, I know that going into the game. That gives you a certain amount of confidence when you step to the plate or step on the mound, depending on obviously what your role is. So it's a little bit confusing to me that he's strayed away from that way that he's been, his MO, so to speak, because he has been that guy. Whoever I go with, I go with. Mm-hmm. Nick Castellanos struggling, I don't care. He's my guy.
He wants to play 162.
There you go. I'm playing a 162. He's going to work his way out of it, and he did. So that gives the players confidence. So I was a little bit, it was definitely like really? That's what you're going to do? Because you haven't done that before. I would think that's going to be 1 month. Even when they traded last year, and it was just like, okay, well, he's going to be our
Adam
everyday.
Hazley's our everyday
left fielder. That's
Austin.
what.
Austin.
You forgot about him
so
already.
close.
I said Adam Hazley, didn't
We've
I?
got
Adam
a purge
Hazley.
the Phillies
Adam
outfield.
Hazley.
Adam
Your names
Hazley.
are
You
giving
really miss
problematic.
Adam. You miss
no, you know what?
Hazley.
They were the same player. They both stunk.
Austin Hayes. But yeah, Dombo comes out and says he's our everyday. And then the very next, even like hours later, Rob Thompson's like, we're going to give him about 10 games. I'm like,
see how
all
it
right,
goes.
there you go. There you go. So I think it is a little bit more in flux than we think.
10 games.
Where is Adam Hazley?
10
Purple
games.
Haze.
Not in baseball.
He went
Purple
to
Haze.
the White Sox and couldn't even make their 30.
He was a fringe major leaguer. Austin Hayes is significantly
we've got
better than
them too.
Austin
Yeah,
Hayes.
former 8th overall pick, fringe.
Adam Hazley.
He couldn't even make the White Sox last year, who won 30 games.
Yes, he stunk. Austin Hayes is better than Adam Hazley.
Yeah, but you know what?
Austin Hayes.
He didn't do much
Adam
more.
Hazley.
My God. All right, coming up next, we'll check our text line, but also, at what point do you realize someone ran out of things to say and they just have to keep on going? Happens on the radio station
Normally
a lot.
about 9:19.
Yeah, happens a lot with us. Doc Rivers did that yesterday. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The opening day roster is taking shape for the Phillies. I'm Connor Thomas, and opening day just 2 days away for the Titans. They'll start their season Thursday on the road in Washington. We're starting to get some news on who's going to comprise the opening day roster. We had a big idea of the main guys, but Cody Clemens, it was announced by the team, will get the final roster spot for position players. The bullpen's still starting to shake out. One thing we know for certain with the Phillies, the stakes, well, they're pretty darn high for this team. And Corey Seidman of NBC Sports Philadelphia joined the best show ever yesterday to talk about just that.
Everybody realizes this is the last dance with this team. So I can understand why fans might feel there hasn't been enough change, but I would just still point out this is one of the best 3 or 5 rosters in all of baseball.
That's the story, right? High stakes, talented team. We'll see how it plays out. It's a big year down at the ballpark in South Philly. Sixers fell to the Pelicans 112-99 last night. They are off this evening. The Flyers take on the Maple Leafs tonight at 7 p.m. You can hear that game live here on The Fanatic. Amy Fadul will stay with us for the entire 9 o'clock hour. This update's brought to you by Jackson Hewitt. It matters who does your taxes. At Jackson Hewitt, expert tax prep is now $149 or less. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/49-149. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Vacation? Business trip? Don't worry, you can still hear.
But we have Amy Fadul with us for the rest of the show.
That you do.
And Amy, I'm curious. I want to read this Doc Rivers quote for you guys here in a minute, but earlier in the show, we talked about the Dan Hurley and UConn situation when Dan Hurley walks off the court the other day after that great game with Florida, and he starts spouting off, I hope the refs don't bleep you like they bleeped us to the Baylor squad. And there was a reporter who captured it, and then the director of communications for UConn threatened the reporter.
Well, he just said, like, please don't post that. I'm fearful of my life.
He said, I will ruin your life. Yeah.
I'll ruin your
And
life.
he thought his life would be ruined.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, Dan Hurley
Yeah. I mean, let's
brings
be
this
honest.
upon himself.
Correct.
So, as a reporter, you got to get that out. The
reporter has no ties to the director of
he's from
communications.
Charlotte,
Charlotte Observer
at the
or something.
UConn. You know, if the director of communications doesn't want that out there, tell his coach to lock it up.
Well, that's the thing. And I've said to
He's
John,
walking off. You can absolutely film in that tunnel. It's not
absolutely
like
can.
And I said to John, that's not even the worst thing that Dan Hurley's ever done. It's just like,
it's not.
it's just once you build that reputation about yourself, like it's just going to continue.
Nobody's rooting for you, Dan Hurley.
No.
And that's the bottom line.
Unless you're a UConn fan.
Nobody's rooting
I would be really hard pressed if that guy was a coach of my team. That would be really tough for me. He is wholly
to like
unlikable.
him. Yeah, I got you. Now the Doc Rivers thing. This is when you run out of things to say, right? Doc, look, you covered Doc when he was with the Sixers. I know sometimes he was a stickler with the media, but he was usually pretty good with his time.
The only thing that sticks out with Doc when he says, "Would you ask Pop that question?"
Yeah. That's a dumbass
That was
question.
Yes, I would actually. And he would answer it.
basketball.
You don't know basketball.
You don't know basketball.
But
He was fine. He was fine.
I thought he was pretty good.
Yeah,
candid with the media for the most part. So he was interviewed by Mark Spears, who covers the NBA for ESPN, all kinds of places, right? And for whatever, I don't even know how they got into the conversation about the 3-1 leads, because he's now blown 3 or 4
more than anybody
Well,
else.
in history, he's the worst at doing that.
Well, he's the only guy to ever do it twice, and he's now done it
or is he the
4
best?
times.
Is he the best at doing
Yes.
Yeah, maybe. So here's his quote. This is from Doc Rivers. Again, this is when you run out of things to say, when you realize, like, you do lose. Like, these things have happened.
You lose, sir.
No one tells the real story, and I'm fine with that.
Oh, jeez.
It's unfair in some ways. I don't get enough credit for getting the 3 wins. I only get credit for losing. I always say, what if we had lost to Houston in 6? No one cares. One of the things that I'm proud of is we've never been swept. All the coaches have been swept in the playoffs. My teams achieve. A lot of them overachieve, and I'm very proud of that.
Wow.
First of all,
Wow.
I would love to have the level of confidence in anything the way that Doc has in his coaching ability. Good for you. Confidence is king. Winning that title with one of the best rosters in the history of basketball. Stop it. Stop.
And by the way,
that Celtics team was absolutely loaded.
They went 3 7s and 1 6.
One of them was against the
Loaded.
Sixers.
That was the most wins. One of them was against the Atlanta Hawks.
Well, they had to play against their
first
coach.
one. And they went 7-7, 6-7, I think, to win it.
But to say that you don't get credit for the 3 wins when you lost the next 4,
Yeah, you can't say
you
that.
can't say that.
And, like, I get it. It's something that will follow the rest of his life.
If he had done it once or even twice, he could probably have said that and been like, hey, listen, these things happen. I get the proper response when, like, I get the coach is going to get a full amount of the blame. I think there was a lot of things that went wrong for us, but, I am proud of the way that we played some of those games. I wish we had won in the end. Done. Sentence over. But the fact that it's become this narrative for him, and he's done it 4 times. 4 3-1 leads blown.
I have the exact statistics. There's a Twitter account, Amy Knows Ball, but it's not you. But
It's
you do
not.
know ball.
do.
Then she better get paid for it.
Blown 3-1. He's blown 3 3-1 leads, 5 3-2 leads, and this is not like you're up 3-1, then you're up 3-2. Like, these are different series.
Right.
Blown 1 2-0 lead, lost Game 7 at home 5 times.
See that right there.
5
Game 7.
times.
Game 7, clinching. So that's those 3-2 and 3-1. Like, you were up. You had a chance to win it. You were up 3-1 in your series or 3-2 in your series, and you had a chance to win it at home 5 different times. So whatever your narrative is, that's where it ends. It ends right there. It ends right there.
I just can't believe he's still going to it.
Yeah,
I just can't like it.
You just have to
say
say,
it.
listen, it's just one of those things. I wish it wasn't a part of my record. It is.
There's a
I
lot of
lost
things I'm
three
proud of on my
3-1 leads.
record, but
Right.
that's not one of them.
Right,
But the
exactly.
man-
That's
It's
simple.
easy.
Done.
That's not one
But
of them.
listen, that says everything. He's a little prickly at times. I get it. It
Little
would
insecure?
be. That's a lot to hear. Like you literally can't coach to save your life to win a game. That's what that stat is telling people.
Yeah.
And so he probably hears it like that when he is asked that question. But you can't say like, well, I'm really proud of the 3 wins. Are you not proud of the 4 losses?
By the way, part of me would like to
No,
say
of course
I
you
could
aren't.
have coached the Sixers
stop.
to 3 against the Hawks.
I'm going
That
to tell
Sixers
you.
should not have lost that series to the Hawks.
How about 16 turnovers from Joel Embiid in Game 6 and 7?
I would have yanked his ass out of the game.
I mean,
No,
he
you
was
wouldn't have.
Game
No.
6 and 7. 16 turnovers in the 2 most critical games
and
of
the
the
thing
series.
is, like,
there were reasons.
Doc Rivers could point to that. Here's a reason why we lost this one game, but how did it get to that point?
Right, exactly.
Right.
How did it get to that point? And you can pinpoint probably different moments in game 7s or whatever.
The
Or
game 1 they lost at home when they were up by 24 or something.
Oh my God.
That was the one. That's where that whole series went off
Yeah.
the rails. You blew that Sunday afternoon game, and
Oh, I know.
you're up like 25.
To say
You did do
to say people talk
Let's
about
talk
the blown
about it,
leads,
shall we?
but not the 3-1.
I'm telling Amy. Boy, that must have been. I remember,
that
John.
post-game show. That
Yeah,
was
I
a lot
remember.
of
That
fun.
was a great one. Woo.
What's more fun, that one
Sure
or
was.
Wednesdays? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we'll be at Knockout on
Yes,
Wednesday.
you know what? That's what we should do. We should have a post-game show
Of just the
about
knockout?
knockout.
I think
People
that'd
might be
fun.
more interested in that than what
I
the
would
game
think they
is.
would be.
You can get the live feed into the
Oh, I know.
arena, right?
Yeah, we can get the arena
I'll do
vision.
some good
Same.
socials, so we'll see what we can get on there.
All right, Connor, what do we have on our text line this morning?
All right, we'll go back to the conversation that we've been having on the Philadelphia Phillies because some people don't have a lot of faith in this team right now. Mike from Phoenixville says, patience for one of the oldest teams in the league with a $300 million payroll and 3 brutal collapses in the playoffs. Sound familiar? And he brings up the Sixers. Guess we'll just have to wait for the Phillies to, in quotes, ramp up.
Oh God.
No, that's a 4-letter word. I don't want to hear that word ever again in my
And it
life.
was that was a big lie.
Yeah, ramp up's got to go.
That was a big lie.
Look, the Phillies are going to be good.
Yes,
They are.
They're gonna be good, and you just have to realize that. But I get it for the people that are worried about come playoff time. I totally understand.
All right, I need
Yeah.
Amy and John on this one because this makes me think about a team a little bit before our time to really recognize it. The
All right.
Eagles, when they went to 4 straight NFC championship games.
Yes.
And they just couldn't summit that mountaintop. When you were heading into football seasons, I get Eagles are a different beast, but were there people like this team stinks? They're
No.
not good.
Oh, because they didn't win the big one yet.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, because the first year was the you lost to the greatest show on turf. And that was the miracle year where you won the first wild card game against Tampa, and then you went and you won a playoff game in Chicago. So you got to an NFC title game you never expected to be in. The second year was horrible. The Tampa loss. Horrible.
That's a Super Bowl that they never.
Exactly. The third year was McNabb gets injured in the first quarter of the NFC title game,
Yeah.
and you lose to Detmer.
But
You have Detmer in there.
Yeah, so go,
But then you got T.O.
right. So looking
So
at that
T.O.
third
wiped
year,
the-
But to Connor's point, it's like people are already saying it's going to be bad for the Phillies because they're not going to win the World Series. They're saying that in March.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
But
and
so
I
he's
think-
asking, like, did people think in September, well, this is going to be a bad
No.
season because they're not going to win the Super Bowl? I don't think so.
No,
I
I
wasn't
thought-
here for some of those, but I
Right.
don't think so.
No, I think they thought that they were absolutely going to win the year after the Tampa game with the new
they
stadium
didn't-
and everything.
They didn't walk into the season being like, well, this is going to be a waste.
No, then they lost to the Bucks in the opener at the Link
Yeah.
on Monday Night Football.
But there is a
That was a
sense
tone
from
setter.
a lot of there is a sense from a lot of Phillies fans that are almost like, what's the
It's
point?
how it was last year.
I
I
don't
remember,
get
like,
it. I hate
in
it.
the middle of the summer, they're like, yeah, it's fine. Remember, they had a great May, start to June. This is amazing. We're all enjoying
Sure.
it. We're talking about it. And people after people would be like, yeah, but like once October comes, just enjoy it. Like,
Yeah.
when I'm like walking outside, I don't just look straight to my destination. I might look around a
looking
little
around.
bit. Appreciate the beauty
Well,
outside.
first off, if you're not going to have any, you mean you're not going to have fun with a
you can
walk-off win?
still enjoy it in May.
You're not going to have fun when Zach Wheeler strikes out 9 in a
Right.
complete game
I
shutout.
think it's about how you view things,
Right.
right? Like, I think if you're the type of person that you're always thinking ahead and always thinking like, well, this is probably, you're strategizing how to get out of something, then that's fine. Sometimes you just enjoy things for the day they are.
Well,
Enjoy
hopefully
it.
people enjoy this season.
Let's enjoy it. You can worry about tomorrow.
Could be a long one. Could be a long one this
Should be
year.
a long one.
All right, coming up next, we'll check a couple more text messages. We have our key three. Also, how about a Sixers update with Amy? It was a good night last night for the boys. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
The Philadelphia 76ers.
Sixers win. Play that song.
The Philadelphia Flyers.
Rebounded front. Backhand shot. They score.
The games are here. Philadelphia's source for breaking sports news. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey folks, Mike Miss here. You know, when choosing a lawn service, doesn't it make sense to hire a company that provides better results and is safer for your family and pets? Well, that's why I chose Natural Lawn of America. That's my lawn care company. Natural Lawn's been growing green lawns quickly, more naturally, and with fewer weeds since 1987. Take advantage of Natural Lawn's limited time offer of free seeding every year. Just call 800-FREE-SEED. Choose my lawn care company, Natural Lawn of America, for greener grass, fewer weeds, guaranteed.
The days are getting longer. Spring is in the air.
Did you ever schedule the seasonal maintenance for our heating and air conditioning system?
Whoa, me? I thought you did that.
Your local Bryant contractor is your trusted partner for top-notch service and ensuring your air conditioning system is in peak condition before the summer heat sets in. Whether you need a new system or just seasonal maintenance, visit nopaybryant.com to find a local pro and to learn about limited time rebates and spring financing specials. That's nopaybryant.com.
Bryant.
Whatever it takes.
Had a major life event? You may qualify for quality, affordable health insurance through Get.
Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic, joined by Amy Fadul for the remainder of the show. We got our key three coming up in a little bit. A little Sixers update for you as we are ready for tomorrow night's game against the Wizards, knockout night. The Sixers lost yesterday.
That they did.
Which means they won.
Not yet till the lottery. We'll find out.
Correct. The Nets also played yesterday. The Nets win
Correct.
or lose? The Nets lost.
The Nets lost.
Nets
The
lost.
Raptors beat the Wizards.
That's good.
That's these are the four teams that we're really all more concerned about.
That's good. So the Sixers are tied with the Nets, 23 and 49.
But they are the fifth.
Do you know? Yes,
The
they're the fifth.
Sixers are the
Do you
fifth.
know what they do for if there's somebody tied? Just a random drawing, a lottery ball for a lottery ball.
Really?
Yeah, there's no like head to head. It's just
they
another.
don't, so
It's
it
another
doesn't-
game of chance for the game of chance.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
That's a problem.
That's what they do in the NFL draft. They do a coin flip if people are tied.
Do you want it to come down for a coin flip for the Sixers? Do you feel good about that?
Hey, our buddy Thomas Dimitrov, he won the coin flip that got them Matt Ryan.
That's right. Yeah, so that was Atlanta.
I'm available to call the coin toss if it comes down to that.
Okay, but
I will use my
don't think
powers
they
for
call
good.
it. Do they call it, or do they just award it?
No, it's
lottery.
No, I don't. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they put another lottery ball in there.
In the NFL, they literally
It's a
said
coin
heads
flip.
or tails.
Oh, okay.
Right.
But good for the Sixers to lose yesterday. Again, just my own.
It's a good loss.
My own 2 cents. It is good that they continue to lose, and a lot of reporters say that it is good for them to lose. So keep on losing.
I think it is.
It's tough. It's tough. It's not the same. People ask me all the time, like, is it as bad as the process? It's different.
No, this
and
is
worse.
desperation.
Yeah, it's worse. And I feel bad. They've got 48 different lineups. They've played 72 games? That's a lot. The record's 51 for anybody scoring at home, set by the Memphis Grizzlies last year. So that's something to aim for, I guess. But I feel bad for them. I feel bad for the team. I feel bad for Nick Nurse. I feel bad for the guys that are out there, because there are some spots you're thinking like, well, that's a positive, and then it's just completely ripped out from under you. It's not a positive because it's a negative.
I'm sorry.
Well, your starting five last night was Jared Butler, Ricky Council.
Jared Butler, Louisiana native, great game. He had like 25 people in attendance.
Does Nick Nurse's job performance, though, when he has had opportunities with more able-bodied citizens, pleased you?
Yeah.
So it has.
Yes.
You do like it.
I mean,
I have not seen
able-bodied citizens. You're looking at like what, a dozen games?
Yeah, maybe.
None of these guys were healthy.
I'm worried.
Paul George started the season completely injured. His knee never recovered from that injury in the preseason against the Hawks. Joel Embiid walked into the season limping.
Correct.
So able-bodied, that's never occurred.
The idea of the happiness being wiped off Tyrese Maxey's face this year, though,
that's tough for me. That's like when we talk about
really hard.
When we talk about 10 games to go, do you play Tyrese Maxey? The pros are that you want to give the kid joy back. You want him to be out where he's most comfortable on the court. You'd like to see him with Quentin Grimes to see if that could be something that you work for in the future.
Okay.
The con is you might win some games and he's hurt. How do you tell a guy that you don't want him to play? It's tough.
It is.
It's a tough.
It's also too, though, but he's gotten visibly frustrated. He's
talked about it.
He has not been the same player this year. The joy has been wiped off his face.
He's talked about that numerous times, about how his mentality has needed to be adjusted and how he's really struggled at times with it. He's never lost like this, ever.
And that's why
he called out Joel Embiid, too.
Yeah, but that's why they're desperate
they're best friends.
to get this pick.
He could do it.
Yeah,
and it's just the fact that they're like in that 5-6 range is just so. You're not gonna get to like the 2-3. Like you need to stay in the 5. I don't think you can even drop to 4. I don't think you can drop to 4 the way the Jazz are playing too.
If you come away with nothing, I mean, this would be officially the worst season ever.
Oh my gosh! If this team doesn't have their first round draft,
that's what I'm saying. Like it would be officially the worst season ever for Sixers basketball.
There's nothing to look forward to.
No,
they're gonna get it. You gotta
believe. The funny thing is,
hashtag you gotta believe.
If you want like a little silver lining, it's probably not even the worst season in the NBA this year. If you look at what's going on in Dallas with the Mavericks
and the Suns.
Yeah.
I mean, Dallas is looks crazy.
Dallas is awful. But that's their own doing.
Yeah.
You traded away a generational player. That's karma.
So
it's worked out for the Lakers.
Worse, maybe?
I
don't know.
Could be. What do we got on the text line, Connor?
All right, we have a bunch of people checking in on our topics for the day. Now, this is just going back to the negativity with the Phillies. Rob Thompson clearly doesn't know what he's doing with this talent. Now they're all old. He's part of the reason why they're not winning.
See, I can't do this defeatist attitude.
We haven't even started yet.
They won 95 games last year. It was a bad playoff. Horrible playoff.
It was rough.
And by the way, not Rob Thompson's fault.
I do feel like we're like the Eagles right now. Remember do you think they're thinking about it? Do you think they thought about the way that the season ended last year? Yeah, they are. They all talked about how they were. But you can't let it fester. So those guys know that they struggled in the postseason with the bats. They know that.
The thing is, though, I heard them talk about what they learned about the playoffs the year before.
Yeah.
Last year. To me, it's just talk. Stop talking. Just go out
when
there.
you ask the question.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, it's
yes, you're right.
Yeah,
It
go
is.
do it now.
Just do it.
Because I have definite doubts in some of them that they're going to actually make the adjustment. When I hear the manager, the general manager, and the hitting coach all get quoted saying, we need the players to buy in. That disgusts me as a fan. We need them to buy in.
Yeah, aren't you already
You
bought
need
it?
to buy in. Okay, so Nick Sirianni, Vic Fangio, we need the players to buy into what we're doing.
I mean,
They
did.
They do.
really did.
They do. But you go, why is it a problem? You're not winning, guys.
Right.
Go buy in. Learn an approach at the
Yeah,
plate.
they're the same players with the same coaches.
Yep.
I think the bought in has already been bought.
Well, that's the
It's
thing. That's why a lot of people are going into this season with a bad attitude that it's the same team. And I get it. I get where people are coming from. That's not how I'm going to live my life because I don't want to be miserable for the months of April, May, June, July, and August and September. I don't want to be miserable for 162 games.
No,
but
you
there
don't
are a
want
lot.
to.
I
No.
understand why people feel the way that they feel. It's the same team. I'm upset that they ran it back. I am. Doesn't mean I don't think they're going to be good. It's just I think there's limitations with this lineup, and I hope that they address those limitations come deadline time. But they've tried doing that the last couple of years, and it hasn't panned out for them. The market's has not been great at the trade deadline.
I think that's the thing.
They haven't made moves.
There was there was that one move, Robert last year that everybody wanted, but the asking price on him obviously was
way
quite
too
high,
high.
and so you're like, but maybe this is the year that the asking price isn't too high for whomever is the hot center fielder, which is probably what we're going to look at, right? Last year it was left field, but I think it might be center field this year, to be honest. And another pitcher. You always need another pitcher.
Always. All right. It is time now for the Kincade Salciunas Key 3 best minutes from today's show.
Now, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
I want you to first take the floor with this Alec Bohm discussion that you want to have.
I want to just make the case for this. And I'm not talking about any kind of contrived, fake support. Alec Bohm had a bad moment last postseason. Well, he had bad moments in the regular season, but he had a bad moment in last postseason. After being an all-star and almost winning the home run derby, he collapsed mentally. And his manager had to bench him.
Yeah.
And no players on the team stood up in his defense to have his back when he got benched. I'm not blaming them, by the way, for that. That's not a shot I'm taking. It just goes to show you they agreed with the manager doing it. I'm going to tell you this going into this season. We know that Alec Bohm was shopped all over baseball, no matter what the Phillies try to convince you of. My point is this. He's ours. You're not winning a thing if he doesn't make a major contribution. And in my opinion, Alec Bohm deserves and has earned more of our should-be, would-be support than Trey Turner ever had a drop of when the whole city decided, let's get behind. Alec Bohm has earned it more as a Philadelphia Philly. And he's one of our own, and he's homegrown. And as you go into this season, I just see the rampant negativity on social media.
Well, I think it's negative because people are realizing that they literally ran back the entire team, and he was one of what people thought would be a movable piece. And because he wasn't moved, maybe he's going to be the poster child of the we ran it back with this guy, and maybe that's why people are already
Not a bad theory.
building certain expectations. But I find it interesting, right? He has had that moment of support. The moment when he says, I bleep and hate it here, and the next day he pinch hits and he gets a standing ovation from the Phillies fans, he's kind of already had that moment.
He did. He
can do another one?
And in that moment, no. I don't want him to have a standing ovation. I'm not into any of that. I am not into anything contrived like that. I'm just talking about Philly's ability to ride somebody. And we can ride an athlete right into the ground.
Yes, we can.
Or we can support an athlete.
And we've seen that too.
And I'm not talking about, again, contrived support. I'm not talking about cheering for him if he starts out the season 1-18 and being like, yeah,
right.
Nothing contrived. But I want him to feel that this is still his town and that people are still behind him, because I'm just doing it, and I'm sure Connor will have his math and you'll have yours. This team's going nowhere if he doesn't he has to make a big contribution to this lineup. He has to be a difference maker in this lineup. Without it, this team is going nowhere.
I have a theory, John.
Okay.
And I do wonder if part of your feelings about this Alec Bohm discussion plays off.
All right. hear that.
You know this saying, the biggest baloney that you and I agree is baloney, that no one likes us, we don't care.
It's the greatest lie ever told, but it's worked for Jason Kelce. It is the greatest lie ever told. This city cares about everything that people say
The
about
second somebody says something bad about us, we're ready to fight.
Correct.
Right? And look, I do it. I play it on the air. We react to it.
yeah.
Right? Like I can't help myself. I don't want to just turn the other cheek. Like if somebody says smack about Philadelphia, I want to fight back. But when somebody says something positive about Philadelphia, that person becomes a legend, a hero right away. Like I remember Kyle Brandt when the Eagles won Super Bowl 52. He was
he did the whole little
Go Eagles
soliloquy and everything.
And Kyle Brandt became everybody's favorite media member. And then of course everybody hated him this past year because he picked the Chiefs.
Yes.
But there are people in this city, and I think it's the majority of people, and we can expand on this coming up next, John. It's not no one likes us, we don't care. It's we want to be loved.
Okay, I did not expect you to be going here. I did not know where you were going with this. That's interesting.
And it started in New Orleans because what was something that you, I, and anybody we talked to when we were down there said? Everybody down here is pulling for the Eagles, and we loved it.
We did. Okay, we
loved
did.
it.
We did love
that the non-Eagles or Chiefs fans that were just on Bourbon Street down in New Orleans
We're rooting Go Birds. And they even learned Go Birds. Yes.
And we loved it, John. I have found the new theory of the Philadelphia sports fan. It's not no one likes us, we don't care. It's love me, please. It's because we're softies. It's because we're softies.
And I put it on you and every one of your generation that is changing. And by the way,
no, you're the guy that you're like, I'm feeling good.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
But I've changed, though.
But you didn't used to be the softie. Now you're a softie.
Correct.
Right.
I like being loved.
I was not. No, I mean, because, Amy, you grow up here.
Yeah.
And I grew up in the getting kicked in the nuts constantly, excuse my language, all the time as a sports fan.
Yeah, the no rings.
And also, our fathers. And I put it on my dad's generation, the greatest generation.
Some of it still trickles down.
But I put it on my dad's and my uncles. They would be, my father, first incompletion from Jaworski. Here we go.
Yep.
Here we go.
Yeah.
It's going to be another one of those days.
Yep.
And I'd be like, I didn't understand. Now, it's funny is, my child, it skipped a generation.
Yeah.
My daughter's 21, and she could be cursing by the first drive. She could be upset with the first drive. I'm not like that. I'm much more patient, but I had to learn it.
Now,
I'm softer from the title.
Speaking of yelling, off the air during the Key 3, we learned something about Amy.
Oh.
I didn't realize you were that.
She yells at her kids? No, she doesn't.
I didn't realize you were that. I know you're a passionate Kentucky fan.
Anybody that watches a game with me will learn that it's not pretty silent.
Is it a game or is it a Kentucky game?
A Kentucky game.
Okay, so you're not.
Everything else I can be like, I'll get angry and I'll be like, oh, that's frustrating, but I have like a measure of like, okay, well, it's going to be okay.
You've decorum during other games.
The other ones, it's just like I'm yelling at the team. I hate that.
You're acting like you're back in the fan section,
absolutely.
the student section.
And it comes honestly. My mom's just like, oh my God, she's living and dying. Like if my dad says something in the positive about the other team, I'll go, that was a good shot, which it probably was. Lord help that man.
The thing
Same with me. I'm like, don't even remotely say anything positive about the other team.
Kentucky basketball is like, even though they're in the SEC, it's like SEC football.
Yeah.
The rabidness of it, the fandom of it, the
there's only three
passion
things
of it.
going on there.
Yeah.
Bourbon, horse racing, and basketball.
Those are three good things.
They're great things. And especially when you combine
In
two
that
of
order?
them.
In that order? I don't want to see Amy on a horse after the bourbon.
Well, the bourbon goes well with football usually. It also goes well with basketball, depending on.
It does. Amy, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
You know what? I'm rooting for Kentucky.
Got a big one on Friday.
For Kentucky.
Yeah, we're Team Amy here.
There we go. Hey, join us and our generous partners, Pierce Phelps Bryant, Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors, and make a donation today to the American Association for Cancer Research. You can do it at 975thefanatic.com/AACR because cancer research saves lives.
All right, everybody have a great rest of your day. Amy, we can't wait to talk to you again next week.
See you guys next week.
Mike Missanelli Show with Bill Colarulo and Ray Dunn come your way next.
Second best odds?
Second best odds for